Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Welcome one and all to John and Mike's MMA Corner.
MMA from a different angle.
And before we kick off with obviously our usual saga of laughter and seriousness, professionalism, we're going to start by asking you all to jump onto Facebook, Twitter, the lot really, the social networking sites, and give some of our esteemed colleagues a follow, because their hard work really helps not only us and yourselves, but just MMA grow. So first up we have MMA Scotland. We'd like you to also jump onto UFC Wreckage on Facebook. Their Twitter handle and their website is MMA Wreckage.
We also have MMA UK, and their Twitter handle is We Are MMA UK.
Jump on to Facebook to Fighting and MMA.
We also have on Facebook and Twitter The Real MMA Talk.
And last but not least, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter. Can't miss them. If you like a giggle, you like a laugh, jump onto Funny MMA, kind of putting a light-hearted view on the aspects of MMA and the goings-ons.
I thought it was serious.
Exactly. So that's what you want to jump onto. Now what we're going to do is jump straight in to this week's edition. Hello all you beautiful MMA people. Right, first and foremost, James Lynch is joining me as a co-host for this week's podcast. It was great speaking with him, great having him on, conversing, just seeing what he had to say. Now, I'm going to start though by saying we've got 5 other guests, alright? James Lynch, co-host, I won't even count him as a guest. We've got 5 guests, alright? We have Tim Loy, who is the CEO of Valor Fight. He comes on to speak about what the promotion's got going, what's happening with the UFC Fight Pass deal, hopefully kicking off in 2 weeks' time. It'll be signed and dusted. We've also got 2 guys that are fighting on their cards. Okay, we have Nick Gehrts and Austin Childers. All right, these 2 guys are going to be not fighting each other. They'll be fighting different opponents. Okay, so don't worry, they're not squaring off because they're not even the same weight class. But we've got these 2 guys coming on. Then we're going to have James Lynch speak with me, co-hosting. Then we're going to finish off once James is gone with Brett Johns and Ricky Simone. So, listen, enjoy, and have a fantastic week, everyone. I enjoy. Would I call you the president, CEO, the owner? What would I give your? What would be your title before I start anything?
What's that, sir?
What would be your title with Valor Fights?
I'm the CEO and matchmaker.
There we go, CEO and matchmaker. There we go, Mr. Lloyd. Thank you very much for joining me. Now you are having a show on just before Valentine's Day. I am more than certain that every man who's fighting on that card, who has a partner, does not like you very much for making that fight, because last thing they'll want is their boyfriend or husband to come home with a black eye.
No doubt.
I could just imagine them all thinking, really? Did you agree to fight? Yeah, I did, hun. You better win, and you better not get punched in the face, you know. But yeah, you've got a fight.
Right.
You've got a fight card coming up, sir. Before we get started, can you tell us a bit about the promotion, about yourself, and just give people at home listening a bit of an insight into you?
Yeah, the promotion, we're the longest running promotion in Tennessee. We've done more pro events and more events period than anyone. I would venture to say combined even. We've just started really growing a lot in the past year. We've really kind of started to step up our game with production and just higher level fights and bringing in top level athletes from all over instead of just focusing on the Tennessee surrounding states. So we're excited about the direction that we're headed, and we've got a deal with UFC Fight Pass on the table that we should be finalizing here in the next couple of weeks. I'm under non-disclosure until they announce it, but that is going to happen.
Well, the thing is, that's another huge thing for you, because it seems like the UFC are obviously taking on board a lot of promotions. It seems they've obviously doing Brazil, they've went up to Russia, then in the States they're taking a lot. It helps them as well, obviously, but at the same time it really helps promote yourselves, because the exposure that they can give you with by being on Fight Pass, it's huge anyway.
Oh yeah, it's tremendous. We go from being you know, as it is, we air locally on television here in our region on Fox, and we do a pay-per-view on our own website. But you know, that doesn't reach outside of the United States, and so this gives us the platform to literally be seen worldwide.
Do you think, obviously, then now with this, when the deal obviously goes through, that this will bring in bigger names for you? Do you feel like you'll probably get more people interested in signing up with you because of the exposure they'll get with a Fight Pass backing them up?
Yeah. There's no doubt. There's you know, we wouldn't be able to get this type of exposure this quickly any other way.
It's crazy, and you know what? It is very useful. It's good to see it happen, because I imagine before any of this happened that, like you say, you've been around for a long time. You're starting to build things up. It was a very slow process, because the regional scene, you have to be very careful with how you run the shows, how you book them, and the placement of it all. It's a very delicate situation.
You're right. You know, it's kind of like it's always a calculated gamble, and you have to try to minimize your risk as much as you can. But at the same time, you know, to grow and to build your brand, you still have to take some risk. And so it's you know, you're right. It's a very delicate process. You have to keep your show within the confines of your budget for a regional promotion, while at the same time, you know, kind of putting your neck out there and reaching out a little to build the promotion above what it is, you know.
So this year, 2016, how many shows are you looking to have on then? How many are you looking to aim for?
Last year we did 18. This year we're probably going to scale back just a little bit. I think we'll be around 14. But my goal is to make it to where we just have, you know, badass shows every time. You know, not to say that any of our shows weren't good last year, but we had a few shows that were, you know, just smaller scale, all amateur events that were just in smaller towns. And so this year I think I want to just focus on, you know, just kind of blowing it out of the water every time.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. If you can, like I say, you can pack it down a little bit. You can make sure that each event is a blockbuster. You can pack it out a bit more. And like I say, the all amateur things, it's great that you've done all amateur shows. It really helps the amateur scene, because obviously a lot of cards on the regional scene are pro and pro-am, so you get half and half, so to speak. Like I say, in the UK, there is a promotion out there that just does all amateur, doesn't do any pro fights, and it's good that it helps the amateur scene, because it's really taken off. The level of skill in the amateur ranks, it's really starting to push itself, where if you put the amateurs of today in the pro ranks, say 10 years ago, they would have fared very well.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. The sport as a whole is just, you know, evolving every day, and to the level of these amateurs, like you said, 10 years ago, these guys would be very, very competitive as pros, and beating a lot of pros from that era. And now I think just early guys are, you know, starting to do MMA, not just, you know, karate, or not just jiu-jitsu, or not just wrestling. They're starting to do MMA as children, you know. So, you know, like your Sage Northcutt and these guys that are essentially just groomed from the very beginning. Whereas up until this point, you know, the sport just hasn't been around long enough for anyone to have really just been brought up in the sport.
So what brought you into it then? Why are you there? Why are you in this situation? Why are you in this position? You know, because it's not a position that everyone has in the world, and it's, you know, I love MMA, but I've never thought about that. You know, running a promotion or being a matchmaker. It's never came to my mind. So how did it happen for you then?
You know, it's actually kind of an interesting story, I guess. You know, several years back, I was in my first marriage as an unhappy marriage, and I was essentially just, you know, reaching out for things to spend my time, you know, and occupy myself. And this was in 2009, I believe. So MMA had just been legalized in Tennessee. You know, we've only had legalized MMA here for about 6 years. And so at the time, the XFC was, they're based out of Tampa, Florida. They were coming to Knoxville, Tennessee, and it was going to be the first ever, you know, sanctioned event in the state of Tennessee. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe the sanctioned pro event. But anyway, they came to the Thompson Bowling Arena, which is where the University of Tennessee plays basketball, huge venue, and they were doing their show for Access TV. And I reached out to John Frisco, the president of that company at the time, and essentially just introduced myself. And I knew they were based out of Tampa and coming to Tennessee for the first time, so I offered my services as someone on the ground up here in the region that knows the region to help promote the events and help with street teaming, just anything I could do to help, essentially just to occupy my time. And so I spoke with Mr. Frisco at length, and he sent a guy up here that worked with me for the whole month before the show, and essentially just kind of showed me the ropes of promoting the streets and doing the grunt work, the entry-level stuff, and posters out, flyers. I mean, the very entry-level stuff. And I worked their cage door for that first event, just open closing the door for the cage, and I thought I was something. But anyway, I worked with those guys for a few shows when they were coming to Knoxville, and then they went some other directions and did more shows in Florida and just other regions. So I started looking for local promotions to work with, and I met a guy named Gene Clegg who was running a promotion. Actually, I didn't meet him. I actually went to elementary school with him. We've known each other since we were like 5 years old, but we've kind of fallen out of touch, for about 20 years in between. So I re-met him, and he was doing a promotion called the 3FC. I came on at that time just essentially as a assist, just help him in whatever manner I could, help with filling some holes on in fights. And he wasn't really interested in being the matchmaker, so after a couple of shows there, he brought me on as the matchmaker, and he was the promoter. And I matched for 3FC for 2 years, and then finally Gene brought me on as a 50-50 partner in that business. And then after about a year of that, Gene kind of got burnt out on promoting MMA. He owns his own gym here, and he's got to grow his family, so he wanted to take some time away from MMA to focus on his business and his family, which kind of just left it all for me. So we changed the name to Valor Fights because the 3FC was kind of Gene's baby. He'd come up with that. So we changed the name to Valor Fights, and I took over everything. And now I'm matching it, promoting it, everything. I've got a great team, though. I've got a lot of good people around me. I wouldn't be able to do it without them, that's for sure. I have a hard time keeping up as it is, and those guys make it a lot easier.
That is a great story because it shows that you, in a sense, you worked from the bottom of the way. You've been around all the areas. You've touched base basically on all the different areas that need covered and looked at in this perspective of a promotion.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, I literally started from about the lowest position that you could start in the MMA world.
And do you know what? I think that's an invaluable thing to get, because some guys who jump in and own a promotion, they've not done any of this stuff, so they don't know what exactly is required. So if you've got already knowledge of that, you can relay that onto someone and help them grow. And if they've got idea, they can talk to you about it and you understand it. I think that's a great little thing that you've got there, a great little skill set.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I agree, actually. There's every position that we have, I have done at some point, so I can bring people along that don't have experience and kind of show them the ropes, and all the way down. I mean, I still go out and street teams now. Yeah, I'm not the only one. I have people that help me do it, but it's not beneath me to go out and put posters up, and hand out handbills and things. I'm still doing that. So, and it's kind of like I'm a bit of a micromanager because I won't rest until I know something's done. So it's kind of like I might as well just be out there helping do it, because otherwise I'm just going to be wondering about what's happening without me.
I think we should get Dana White out putting posters up. Just keep him humble. Keep him humble.
Yeah, right.
That'll be something good.
Man, I've announced. I've helped put up the cage. I mean, you name it. I've done about everything that you could possibly do. But get in the cage and fight. I've not fought.
Oh yeah, you got to do like maybe a fun charity match or something then.
That's been tossed around, believe it or not. That would probably sell a lot. There's probably more people wanting to see me get my butt kicked.
Yeah, get someone like, I don't know, Butterbean or Bob Sapp, get him in. Yeah, just have a charity match, tough one.
Yeah, right.
Man, hey, look, it sounds like you've kind of got your T's crossed, your I's dotted, because you've got this kind of knowledge already, and the success that obviously that has proven already because of this deal that's going through. It seems that you're onto a winning formula for 2016. What's the kind of goal for 2016? Are you looking? Obviously, you said about the shows. Are you looking to do anything particular to kind of not put your own niche on the market, but is there anything you're looking to try and do?
I think my main goal for 2016, once we get this distribution deal ironed out, I think my main thing is to get as many guys to the UFC as possible. That's my goal, is to get, I won't set a number, but my goal is to put several guys in the UFC this year, and essentially, get the word out to people that there is an avenue to the big leagues, through Valor Fights, and our region is so young. Like I said, we've only had legalized MMA here for 6 years, and honestly, the pro scene here has really only when we legalized MMA, amateurs was the prevalent. Most people did amateurs because everyone was just starting. Essentially, there were some guys, some pioneer type guys, that were going off to other states and competing. But for the most part, 90% of the people were just starting. So for the first half of those 6 years that it's been legal, essentially most everyone has been amateurs, and so we've really just kind of started developing the pro scene here over the last couple of years, and I think we've got some legit prospects that could definitely, hang in the UFC, and I think that we'll start seeing those guys make that move this year. That's our main goal, is to be a good platform, for guys to move on to that top level.
Well, that's what is great, if you can give the guys the platform, because as well with that deal, people can watch their progress from your show to the UFC, and it's also something great for you, because people will go, oh, he came from that promotion. Oh, if I get on that promotion, and if I can win the title, etc., I can defend it. That can push me up to, that next level, and it's great for you then, because it kind of feeds into yourself as a promotion.
Oh, absolutely! It's great if we can get those guys to the next level, and people see that they're getting looked at, fighting for us by the big leagues. Then that gives us a sense of pride and accomplishment. The more that we can send there, that are products of our region.
So, 13th Feb, next card's up. What kind of fights should we be looking forward to? What kind of fights are going to be on this card for people to get excited about? Obviously, people who are going to go and watch the show. Is there names that we should maybe be keeping an eye out for in the future?
Sure. We've got, essentially, we're working on 3 events right now. We've got February the 13th, February the 27th, and March the 19th. And all 3 of those cards have got, a couple guys, or, more than a couple guys that are good, legitimate national prospects. And I think that, the first one, February the 13th, our main event is Gehrts against Steven Haag. That's 2 lightweights from this region that are both, grappling phenoms. They're both, very good on the ground. They're both, Gehrts is probably a little bit more well-rounded, but Haag is just a jiu-jitsu phenom, and he wins all the grappling tournaments around here, the black belt divisions. That's the main fight on that card that I would watch out for. And we're also doing partnering up with UMMAF, which is it's an amateur sanctioning body. They're putting on the only true amateur national championship and world championship this year, and so our event for February 13th is a qualifier for the southeastern region of the state. The winners would go to the national tournament in Arizona, so that would be another good chance for those guys to get some big exposure out west. And when they win there, they would be on Team USA, which would compete at the World Championships in Las Vegas, which is part of the UFC Fan Expo. So that's another kind of cool thing for the amateurs to get to strive for. Kind of straying off base, I guess. But for February the 27th, that is kind of like my crown jewel for the first part of the year. We've got 2 pro title fights on that card, Sidney Wheeler and Justin Fisher. That's 2 of the top middleweight prospects in the Southeast. Sidney Wheeler could be one of the top prospects in the nation. He's only 3-0, and he's only 19 years old. he is something else. He didn't take any amateur fights. He never had any amateur fights. He just turned immediately pro, and we've done nothing but throw him to the wolves over and over, and all he does is winning. He's just got all kinds of accolades, multiple times state high school wrestling champion, world Muay Thai champion, national champion, boxer. He made the Final Four to the Olympic boxing trials. So he's got lots of accolades. They're just not in MMA. So anyway, Sidney Wheeler, that's one to keep an eye on. Justin Fisher's his opponent. He's from KMAA in Knoxville. He's taking over in St. Preux. He's one of the more entertaining fighters that we've got on our roster, and he a great show. He's 7-2, I believe now. So he's another guy that's kind of on the radar. Those guys are going to fight for our middleweight title. And then we've also got in our co-main event, we've got two main events. We'll call them both title fights. They're both main. Jesse Grun, he's another product of our region. He's taking on Felipe Portello, who was on the last season of The Ultimate Fighter with American Top Team versus Black Zillions. So we'll be bringing the Black Zillions up from Florida for this one. Kind of another step that we've taken in bringing in just top level teams, and kind of getting out of our only bringing in the teams local. We're bringing in teams from all over now. But anyway, that's another real big fight. And then of course in March we've got Adam Townsend on the card, and that's a guy that came up through our promotion, and he's an RFA fighter now. He's going to get to take a fight locally for us in March, and he's going to be main eventing against an undefeated guy, Nathan Manis. So that's another one to keep an eye on. And Adam's one of the guys that is really kind of a real good example of a guy that he came up in the amateurs with us. He fought. He was the first pro fighter that we signed exclusively, and he's a real good example of a guy that just come up through our system and has done really well.
Hey, it sounds like there's a handful of great names there to look out for. It sounds like when this deal gets through, I personally can sit down and tune into it as well, which is what I'm looking forward to more than anything. The fact that I can actually watch the fights and tune in and kind of watch them, kind of watch these names, and even if hopefully your backlog history goes onto there as well, I can even go back to watch fights if I miss any. So that's something to look forward to as well. That's what I like about this deal, because we all have lives. Sometimes I can't watch the fights live because it's on at 4 a.m, and sometimes I like my sleep. But because obviously being in the UK, but yeah, I look forward to this. And these like say there's fight cards there. If I were to want a ticket, how would I get a ticket? How would I get a hold of it? How would I get there?
We're selling tickets right now for all the shows are on our website, valorfights.com. You can order tickets from there, or you can order tickets also through globalmmatickets.com. That's another online ticketing site that we use, and they'll have tickets for all of our events. And you can also check out the event pages on Facebook, Valor Fights 30, Valor Fights 31. That's the two events in February, and that's got all the details on door times and fight cards and all that good stuff.
Awesome stuff, because obviously people at home who are listening to this in the area, in the region, I do suggest you do go and watch the local show, enjoy some fights, watch them live. Just the atmosphere alone is what gets it going, you see, so be a part of it, be a part of this promotion, helping it grow. But before I let you go, can you give us your social media stuff for obviously the promotion and yourself even, and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. On Facebook, Valor Fights is our page. We appreciate all the likes we can get there. We're also on Twitter at Valor Fights, Instagram at Valor Fights, and myself, Tim Loy. I'm on Facebook myself. If you want to add me, there's a few of me out there, I hear. But it says that I work at Valor Fights, so you should probably be able to find me.
Look, Tim, I'm sure everything's going to go fantastic, and I'm sure when this deal kicks off, things are just going to keep growing and exploding for you. I think the exposure, you'll hit the global market. It's going to be exciting times, 2016. What about your sponsors that at the moment that are helping you out with with your shows?
Yeah, I'd like to always thank our biggest and best supporters are Ogle, Elrod, and Burrell, the law offices of Ogle, Elrod, and Burrell. My good friend Jason Burrell, attorney there. Those guys have been behind us for about 3 years now, and they've been a huge help. And Also, Kim Bell at Hogs Upstairs Tavern, Fracture Fightwear, Corporate Clothing, USA. Also, Chips Transmissions, Spastic Signs, and Gooder Labs. Those are several of our, and Matt Tatter Tattoo Studios, Martin Shaw. Those are our main sponsors. We have some more that float around here and there from show to show, but those are the ones that have kind of been with us for the long haul.
Fantastic. Hey, look, every one of them sponsors, I want to say thank you to them because they are helping regional promotions and helping them. That's huge. It's a big part of the sport that help out. And last but not least, do you want to give a shout out to some of the backroom staff that maybe that help you out, that don't get a mention in usually it's the CEO and the fighters. Do you want to give a shout out to any names?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a large team that makes this whole thing go around, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my wife, Jamie Lee, first and foremost. She's probably got the hardest job of all, just dealing with me. There's a lot of moving parts here on these events, and I stay busy, and so she's very understanding. Thank her first and foremost, but also my right-hand man, Cody Quinn. He's my jack of all trades. He's kind of my catch-all. He's kind of what I used to be with Dean whenever I first started coming up. So he's got a lot of potential in this business. But Cody Quinn, Tiffany Jenkins, Shamir Peshawar, Mark Laws, Marty Willis. These are the guys that are just they're my aces, and without them we wouldn't be able to growing like we are.
Hey, it looks like everyone's pulling together and it's worked so far. It's working at the moment. Look at the deal that's happening. It seems that you've got a fantastic team. Look, I look forward to when Fight Pass is signed up to tune in to watch them because obviously I don't have Fight Pass. I have Fight Pass, sorry, but I'm not local. I'm not down in Tennessee, so I can't go to watch anything live. So I'll be looking forward to watching the fights live when they are on Fight Pass.
That's awesome.
And Tim, thank you very much for your time. I wish for you to have a fantastic 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the area, get tickets to watch it. When the deal gets done on Fight Pass, watch it on Fight Pass. Give them support. Follow the fighters, I'm sure. And hopefully I'll get to speak to some of the fighters that are on that card. And I'll introduce you all to them, people. So, again, Tim, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great 2016. Thanks so much for the support. Take care, man.
Valor Fighting has Nick Gehrts against Steven Haag, and we've got Nick joining us. Firstly, Nick, thank you for taking some of your time out today to speak with us. You've got a fight coming up.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, you got a fight coming up, man. Now it's happening very shortly. Sir. It's not far off. I imagine now it's just a case of you just stripping down the weight, are you?
This week is our hard sparring week. We call it Hell Week at our gym. It's hard sparring. We do a gauntlet every day of the week. We have you go in, you got 3 different guys, 3 fresh guys, and you get a fresh guy like every other minute. So you're constantly being pushed. All those guys are fresh, just constantly beating you up, and your job is just to hang in there and do what you do the best you can do. The next week will be just relaxation. Hitting some pads. My weight is spectacular at the moment. Actually, I might actually be able to step up on the scale with a bottle of water in my hand and a bag of potato chips.
Hey, that's it. That'll be a nice image. That'll be a good image, man. So, like you said, there you've got this week's kind of like your Hell Week. Do you have the guys in the same weight class though, when you're sparring, or do you have a mixture? So you have like maybe a lighter guy, so he's really quick, and you have a bigger guy, so he's stronger.
Yes, absolutely. I got the most outstanding teammates I could absolutely ask for. Last night I did my gauntlet. I had a mixture. I had Alan Stewart. He's one of our pros at 170, 185. And we put him in there because Steven's supposed to be strong. He's supposed to be big. And I'm used to that. We got a lot of big guys at the gym. I'm always sparring with them, rolling with them. Then we got another guy, one of our amateurs that actually shouldn't be an amateur. He should be a pro. The only reason he's not, he got in a car wreck when he was in high school and lost his eye. So that's Dre Miley. He's a killer, man. But he's a really good wrestler, really good striker. He fights at 135, so always a variety of weight classes, speed, strength, focusing on all of it. We put a good wrestler in there, a really good striker, put a good jiu-jitsu guy in, and just try to mix it all up, have different sizes, different skills, different styles.
Yeah, that certainly helps, like you say, because I was curious about that. I wasn't sure if they just get 3 guys in your weight class and that's it, but it does help, I think, having that variation, because, I found it as well myself. When I would spar with guys who were lighter, there was that speed difference, but then when you went for the guys who were bigger or the same size, it almost felt like they were fighting through tar. They seemed so much slower than these kind of lightweights. It was easier to respond to their strikes. Even guys in the same weight class, you felt like you were seeing the punches come a lot sooner.
Yes, absolutely. One thing I was talking about Alan Stewart. One thing about him, man, he's good. he's fast. He's strong. He's all over the place. He's currently 4-0 as a pro. When he first started coming to the gym, he weighed like 310 pounds, and now like I said, he fights at 170 pounds, 185 pounds. So, but he's got speed, he's got strength, he's freaking excellent striker, really good grappling. So yeah, just that mixture and everything. Sometimes though, you get. We had another guy in last night, one of our amateurs named Dylan. He's a really good wrestler, wrestled in high school and everything. He's a little bit slower, and not as technical. We don't expect Steven Haag to be very technical. We expect him to be kind of wild. Obviously on the ground he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, so he's supposed to be a little technical there. But I fought Adam Hyde. Not my last fight, but the fight before. Adam Hyde was a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and I don't know if you saw that fight, but not saying anything bad about Adam Hyde. That's one of the toughest guys I've ever fought in my life. And very, very nice person, nice human being, and we've actually talked since that fight and everything, but he was a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and that didn't work out too well for him, so.
Well, I was just because you're a purple belt, aren't you?
Yes, I'm a purple belt. I'm a one-stripe purple belt.
Now, for ladies and gentlemen at home, because not everyone knows how the grading system works with jiu-jitsu. Now, obviously, a lot of people know just that black belt that's the most common phrase. People go, if you're black belt, it means you're a ninja, and white belt, it means you're the victim is the best way to put it if you're a white belt. And then there's a load of colours in between that people kind of get mixed up with, and it's not everyone knows this. So you're a purple, and you went against a brown. Now let them know what that means.
Well, there's 5 belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There's white, blue, purple, brown, and black. One of the hardest systems to get, a black belt in. It takes a long time unless you're in the gym every day for hours a day. But brown is right after purple. Generally, you'll get a stripe. There's like 4 stripes in between belts. So as you progress, as your coaches see you progress and everything, they'll promote you to stripe, and then promote you another stripe. And after you get 4, you'll rank up to a different belt. Generally takes about 10 years to get a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like I said, unless you're in the gym all the time. My brother Sam, he actually he's like a 4-stripe purple belt, and I started training jiu-jitsu like a year before he did, and he passed me up in rank, because he trains in a gi all the time. He's in the gym like 4 hours a day, constantly training, so he definitely got promoted faster than I did, and you put us in a gi, Sam would probably tap me out a lot, but there's a big difference between being in a gi and having a mouthpiece and MMA gloves on.
Oh, definitely. When you're getting punched in the face.
The whole factor of getting punched in the face, that changes things up a lot. And fortunately for me, I've been really good at mixing my jiu-jitsu into MMA, so I don't rely solely on my MMA. I have really good defense on the ground of people trying to hit me. I rarely get punched in the face on the ground. Just holding wrist control, controlling them down, breaking their posture and everything. It's really hard for people to hit me on the ground.
I was going to say, I spoke to another fighter called Ben Egley, we were speaking about this stuff, and I was saying he trains quite a lot in the gi, but I was saying to him that I have never trained in the gi. I've always done non-gi jitsu, because in my head I thought to myself, if I'm in the cage, I'm not in a gi, so why would I want to teach myself gi stuff? But then again,
being in the gi, definitely there's more to worry about. You have gi chokes. You have, I mean, people are grabbing your sleeves, grabbing your collar, grabbing your pants. There's just a lot more to worry about. So you have to. It makes you more aware. So whenever you're out of the gi, in no gi, you're better at defending stuff. You're more aware of everything that can happen. You're always protecting your neck. You're fighting grips off and everything. It definitely makes you more aware, and I think the gi helps a lot for MMA, just for the aspect of being aware of all the other things that could happen, and knowing what's coming.
So, do you do grappling competitions outside of Fathom Fights?
I do. I haven't done one in quite a while. It's been a little over a year or something. Actually, right before my pro debut was my last jiu-jitsu tournament. I did gi and no gi. I lost the no-gi. Me and this kid, his name's Chase Davis. He's really, really good grappler. Me and him, we were both in the same division. And between the two of us, I think I hit like 4 heel hooks in the division, and he hit 4 heel hooks in the division. And then we were up against each other in the finals, and we both were going for heel hooks, still both going for leg locks. And I had my pro debut like 2 weeks later, so it wasn't something I wanted to risk, getting my knee blown out or anything. So I let him have it. I tapped, and I didn't try to fight out of it or anything. But yeah, it's pretty cool that we both won every match by leg lock, and then we got in the gi. I beat him in the gi actually, and won that one. But I used to compete jiu-jitsu tournaments all the time before I turned 18. In Tennessee, and actually a lot of states you can't. I think Virginia is the only state that you can compete as a minor, in MMA. So I've done hundreds of jiu-jitsu tournaments. I've had boxing matches, kickboxing matches, and I think that really helped me prepare and made me very well-rounded for whenever I did step into the cage and made my amateur debut in MMA.
You already beat me to my next question. I was going to say, obviously doing the kind of pure martial art is like I say to people, because when you do MMA classes and stuff, you're kind of trying to mold everything together. So, but when you do the pure martial art itself, there is a benefit to it. I think I've noticed a lot of fighters have went back to pure martial arts in the sense of, you see guys now doing a lot more grappling competitions. They'll do K1 bouts, just because it is a striking competition and they can get knocked out, but at the same time, there's no cuts and stuff, so there's a little bit of, there's some little real sets, and a lot of them go to the pure sport again just to kind of develop that martial art particular skill set.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely want to be well-rounded in every aspect, from boxing to kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. With Coach Turner, we even throw in some scream occasionally, and throw in some other martial arts. Landed my pro debut. I landed a capoeira kick from my butt, butt scooted towards him and jumped up and kicked him in the head. Then I fought Leo Perez in my third pro fight and did the same thing. It's just a mixture of everything, That's how you're the best. MMA is mixed martial arts, so you just want to know everything. Combine all of it together, and that's usually the greatest fighter, one who knows every aspect. If I'm fighting a guy who sucks at jiu-jitsu, and he's a good striker, well, I'm an excellent striker as well, but I'm going to take him down because I know he sucks on the ground,
Yes.
If he's really good on the ground, then I'm going to stand up and bang with him, because, why risk, there's that little percentage that he could catch you, at what he's good at, so why take that chance, when you can beat him elsewhere. Exactly,
and with Steven, have you mentioned before, because you said about, obviously, you noticed that he's strong, etc. Does this mean because you've researched him yourself? Is this something your coaches have done? How do you kind of, how do you analyze your opponent?
I usually, man, I never look up anybody I'm fighting. Like, I don't care who I'm fighting. You know, it's just, I'm going in there and I'm playing a game. You know, I'm going in there to touch you up, you know, and do what I do. But, you know, Eric, he watches some videos and he gives me things to work on that he thinks I need to work on for this fight or, you know, for whatever fight. And, but I really just let Eric and my coaches, Eric and Joey, you know, kind of go over who I'm fighting and everything, and then they set up a game plan, and then we just go with it, you know. But I never, you know, a lot of guys, they'll watch videos of, you know, their opponent fighting and stuff. I let Eric and Joey do that for me, you know, and they come to me and then tell me, you know, what to do and what not to do and set up a game plan for me.
So 2016, this fight against Steven, it's kicking off this year for you in MMA. I'd imagine your goal then for this year is to have consistency, in a sense of getting the wins on a regular basis. You know, not obviously having that gap where a loss comes along. You just want to get a consistent run in wins. Is that like the main goal for this year? Is obviously fight regular, stay injury free, big part of it, and then just have that consistency.
Absolutely. My goal is never to win. My goal is always to progress. You know, no matter what I'm doing, you know, winning isn't the goal. Progress is the goal. It's always the goal. You know, failure is absolutely 100% okay. You know, as long as you get back up, you know, you keep going. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you can't learn if you don't fail. You know, you have to fail to learn. I believe it was Batman, The Dark Knight. What's his name? What's his butler's name? Alfred.
Yeah.
Alfred told him, you know, why do we fall? You know, so we can learn to pick ourselves back up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every you know, you have to fail to be able to learn. That's whenever you win, you know, you can always find something. You know, I knocked Augusta Tyndall out in a minute and 19 seconds, and I came back to the gym, and Coach Turner was like, all right, now we're gonna work on this and this and this. And I was like, really? From a minute and 19 seconds, you found like 10 things for me to work on? He's like, absolutely.
Hey, that's
there's
good.
Always stuff to progress on, you know.
It's good coaching, that though. That's what you want. You want a coach to be able to do that. It shows that you've got a coach that can analyze a fight really well.
Absolutely. Eric and Joey are the most. I mean, I wouldn't. If I had the opportunity to go anywhere else in the world, I would. You know, if they offered to pay me to go somewhere else, I would. I'd stay right there with Eric Turner and Joey Zonar. I trust Eric more than anybody in this world. Eric is. I trust his process, you know, and that's part of it, is just having trust for him. If Eric told me to go out in the cage and put my hands, you know, close my eyes and put my hands down at my hips, I would do it. I mean, I might question why, but, you know, I trust him, you know. I would kind of want to understand it, but I trust the process, so I would go do it, you know. You know, that sounds silly, but he's got a reason for it, you know, and I know he does. He has a reason for everything he does, and I trust him 100% with everything.
And having that trust there. Sorry to interrupt there, Nick. Sorry to interrupt there, buddy. But having that trust with Nick, having that trust, Nick, does that really then help you does that help you when you're fighting, and you know, that kind of confidence in your coach? Is that what you think as well helps when you fight? You know, you're not questioning him. There's no doubt in your mind. That part of your mind is free, so you're a lot more calm in your mindset when you're fighting.
Absolutely. You know, whatever Eric tells me to do, I just trust it and do it. You know, and it's. I mean, it definitely makes me feel free. You know, my goal is to always go out in the cage and just be me. You know, express them. There's been several fights where we haven't even set up a game plan, where Eric just said, go in the fight and be you. You know, be Nick Gehrts and do what you do. You know, if my, you know, I have control over my mind and my body, and when my mind and my body work together, I'm unstoppable. You know, nobody's going to stop me. And we do a lot of sports psychology and a lot of different things, you know, for confidence building, and like I said, I trust Eric more than anybody in this world, so that is a huge aspect of, you know, why I do so good in the cage, is just having trust for him.
The fact that you just said what they do there with the mind side of things, that is a very advanced coaching method that's being used. That's not a lot of gyms do it, and not a lot of gyms focus on it. And I tell you what, it's one of the new weapons that will be used in the next few years in all gyms. And the fact that he's doing it already is a very smart man.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Now, Nick, you're fighting Steven Haag on Valor. Now, this fight's going to go down. People can watch it. You can jump on the website, ladies and gentlemen, to stream it. If you haven't got tickets to go there. Nick, before you throw down, though, before you step into the cage, how can people join on social media to, interact with you, follow your kind of journey for the 2016 and beyond?
Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook. My fighter page is Gehrts. Go check it out. Give me a like. There's always keeping up to date with all my fights, all my information and everything. Let's see. I'm not big on the social media for the Twitter and all that kind of stuff, but you can follow me on Facebook. And then I'm not real big on the social networking.
It's okay. Do you know what? I know a lot of fighters that some just have a Facebook page and that is it, because it's just not their thing. Look, what about then your sponsors? Is there anyone helping you out with your fight camps and just supporting your career?
Oh, absolutely. I got Jake Smith at Meltdown Graphics. He does all my custom screen printing, signs, my banners, and everything. Corpse Construction, Wits Legacy Tattoo, 3D Complete Tree Service, Tactical Medically, Stover's Liquidators. Always working on getting new sponsors and everything. In the process of trying to get more contracts signed and everything at the moment. And definitely want to thank all of them. They help me out tremendously. And I always have to say, the people that don't go on my shirt, I have to thank my dad and my mom all the time. They help me out tremendously. Being a pro fighter, I have to make sacrifices all the time. Whether it be giving up, a good job or turning down a good job. So my dad helps me out all the time. I'm like, I gotta get to the gym. He'll give me gas money to get to the gym and stuff. He believes in absolutely what I'm trying to do. My mom has been by my side since day one. She used to drive me to the gym all the time. And every day she'd drive me to the gym, and she'd sit there for 4 or 5 hours while I was in the gym training. So definitely have to thank those two. They're two of my biggest sponsors.
Yeah, that's awesome to see that you got that backing up. So apart from your mum and dad, who else can you give praise to? You got your coaches, even your training partners that you've got, and people like that.
Man, definitely Eric Turner, Joey Zonar, all the guys at the gym, from pro fighters, amateur fighters. I mean, mom and dads that come to the gym. People that just come to get in shape. We always push each other. I look over at them and I see them working hard, and I'm like, I gotta work harder. It constantly makes me work hard. All the guys that have helped me out in my gauntlet, Dre Miley, Ali Foley, Justin Fisher, Alan Stewart, all of these guys, man. We got a gym full of killers, man. We're coming for the UFC. We got one guy in there already, number 6 light heavyweight, Ovin St. Preux, but we got a whole crew coming in there.
It's all building, it's all starting, you see, just one after another. It's just got a domino effect and you'll all fall in. Nick, thank you. Thank you for giving me your time, my friend. Have a great fight. Enjoy the whole weekend. And, 2016, let's get it going.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the interview. I appreciate it.
Austin Childers, you are facing off with Freddie Walker on the Valor card, which is coming up very, very soon. And there's a little bit of... Well, there's two things on the line, really. There's an opportunity further on, let's say, and there's also the opportunity of a bit of silverware. Do any of these come into play in your mind when you have this bout, or do you just see this as another opponent, another fight, and any of this other stuff is like an added bonus?
No, it's just another fight. I mean, nothing's promised. Even, okay, let's say I win and I win again. I go to the thing. It's a tournament for the UFC Expo. But say I get injured, Right. So nothing's ever promised. I'm just happy to fight here, fight now. 9 days away. Then I'll focus on after that.
Now, the opportunity, like I said, it's the qualifier, let's say, is for the UMMAF, and it's an early qualifier anyway. There's another one later on, and then you finally get the opportunity to go to the World Championships in July, which is in Vegas. Now, do you know much about this event itself? Do you know about how it went last year down at Vegas, and basically how it's growing, how it's actually getting quite a reputation?
Yeah, I know nothing at all about it.
Now, have you looked into it since when you found out about this?
No, I haven't looked into it. I'm just gonna train and fight and let my manager and my coaches take over. I just want to fight.
Now, let's say you go out here, you get yourself a win, then you go to the next round, which is, I believe it's in Arizona for yourselves. Let's say you go out and win that, okay? The next time you would be then in this competition with the World Finals, you'd be representing the USA, and the other thing is you would be put on a pedestal, which would be very high, because you'd be classed as, one of the best amateurs in the world, and you'd be facing off some of the best talented fighters in the world. That opportunity itself would be a great experience, do you feel, for yourself early on in your career? It would probably set you up very well for moving on to the pro ranks later on as well, because the exposure to the large number of people, the fact that it'll be on Fight Pass, and there's just this kind of exposure that you would get that would really set you up well.
Yeah, that part would be pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie, but like I said, nothing promised. But just fight the best guys. That would be, the fight. It's exciting. Grow-ups, dude, that's kind of boring, honestly. So don't want to do that. But yeah, fighting really good guys is what I want to do.
So Freddie Walker, who you're facing off with, your opponent, do you look into your opponents? Do you let your coaches work on that? How is your approach to whenever you get a name, your next victim, let's say, your next guy you want to take on?
Just keep training. We work on everything. Nothing's focused. I'm not gonna focus on one and forget the other. I'm gonna work on everything, learn new techniques on every part, stand up, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, everything. So not focused on what he can do or can't do, just go out there and fight.
Now, so do you have a particular style yourself that you like to be, or do you just kind of like to see where the fight goes?
Well, I don't like saying it, but I'm kind of stubborn when it comes to that. Because my jiu-jitsu and wrestling are a lot better than my striking. But I'll stay and strike because it's what the fans like. So, yeah, I mean, if I want to go out there and just have a pretty quick fight, I guess I can just take him down, submit him. But no, I don't like doing that.
Well, the thing is, you say that the fans like people to stand and bang. I don't know. Well, I suppose you could get the general fans would like that, but myself, I wouldn't say a purist, but I appreciate a very good submission. I appreciate a guy, if you can get someone down, let's say you do a double leg, you get your opponent down, and you end up in half guard. Let's say half guard. I appreciate a guy who can position himself from, say, half guard to transition to, let's say, he can work his way to side control. When he gets to side control, he can then work into the head and arm choke, and then get his body across to the other side, get the angle, get the leverage, and finish with a tap. I appreciate that because each step to get to that submission is very difficult when you're against an opponent who's literally fighting for their lives during that bout. It's very difficult. It's a lot easier in training when you're rolling. to get that submission. But then when it's in a bout itself, there's that fight or flight kind of thing from your opponent. They have that, that kind of extra bit of adrenaline strength to get themselves out of positions. I appreciate it a lot more.
Well, I haven't really ran into someone who's given me like a huge problem on the ground. So that's why I guess it's sort of boring for me. Well, so far, like if I have some guy who can transition like I could transition, like last fight, I went from Peruvian necktie to triangle to armbar, then back to triangle. And he just couldn't, he was defending well, but, all those transitions, if it was high pace, the guy's not getting caught, he's sweeping me, sweeping him, then that would be more fun. But, yeah, a lot of MMA guys, they take down and sort of like hold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I try to steer away from that,
Yeah, a lot of guys...
I like striking more.
A lot of guys find it difficult to defend the chain effect of submissions. Like you said there, even a lot of guys still find it difficult to defend not just the triangle, but the transition from a triangle to an arm bar. And then, again, like you say, you can... Because even just that itself, you can switch between those two submissions literally straight away. You can go straight to a triangle, straight to the armbar. A lot of guys don't know how to set that defense up for both, to be ready for the counter of both positions. It's something that people learn after they try. They spend a lot of time doing jiu-jitsu. Have you thought then maybe putting yourself away somewhere, going somewhere where there is a higher level of grapplers, like maybe I'll use this guy as an example, but Marcelo Garcia he's based in New York. But have you thought about going to somewhere like Marcelo Garcia's place, where you're going to go against killers, like it'll just be a line of killers that you're going up against. You're not going against guys who won't know what to do. You're going against guys who will literally have you on your back, trying to figure out how to get out of it.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, that'd be more fun. But I fought a brown belt, and so the plan was not to go to the ground. And that was my only fight that ended in a knockout. So I guess honestly, I like striking more, but I don't know why. I just stay away from the ground. Like I said, I'm stubborn. Sometimes whenever we're grappling, if I hear like a boo, it breaks my heart.
That's the thing, though. If there's ever a boo, that is the uneducated fan that boos. Well, the thing is, you say that there's been stand-up fights that people boo at. A good one to use in recent times would be Gabriel Gonzaga's latest fight back in start of December, which was possibly one of the worst fights I've ever seen. That was majority was standing, but it was one of the worst fights ever because literally nothing almost happened. You do obviously need, when you are standing, you do need the action to go, but I think the guys who boo just when the fight goes to the ground, a lot of the time, it's because they don't know how difficult it is to get from A to B. Like, it's, if you're in guard, people don't realise how hard it is sometimes to get from guard to half guard. Like, they've never done it. They've never had someone lying on their back, wrapping their legs around you and literally squeezing you like a vice because they don't want to let go, because they don't want you to get to half guard. Some people in that crowd have never known what that felt like.
Yeah, very true, very true. Yeah, not a huge fan of uneducated fans either, so I don't know. Well, like I said, I enjoy the stand-up more. That's why I choose to do it. To me, I like seeing, because I think my technique is, better than these amateurs. Sounds like conceited. That's what I feel. I don't feel like technique-wise I'm lacking. I think everyone else is just kind of trying to brawl.
Yeah.
And when I watch the guy, I've seen the guy I'm fighting live, and he was like non-stop, and he he had good cardio, but it was like when he'd throw punches, they were sort of wild, and it was just, a wild fight. And I look at that, I'm like, I think I can beat that, you know?
Yeah, you can beat it with good technique, yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like technique-wise, like I'm not an amateur, technique-wise, standing. I mean, obviously, everyone can work on certain things, and obviously, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
But definitely won't see me putting my hand down at my waist and swinging as hard as I can.
So because your technique is at a very good level at the moment, how long do you think then that you'll want to stick around the amateur scene? How do you want to just stick around for a bit, for like maybe the next 9 months, just because you want to get that experience under your belt and just to get the bouts under your belt, really, just to get yourself more and more comfortable before you go up to the pro ranks?
Yeah, man. My one loss came from this cool guy, Zach Cooper, who's the amateur 45 champ. And he's had a bunch of fights, and I could tell, like, how I lost by decision. I could tell, like, that experience that he had definitely helped. So about 10 to 12 fights.
Yeah.
In between there.
Yeah, so you've basically been in the cage long enough to you've been in several circumstances, you've been in several positions, so you know how to deal with them when it comes around again, maybe in the pro ranks.
Yeah, because once you turn pro, there's no going back. Amateur, get every tool you need sharpened, and then go pro.
Exactly, and that's when you can make all your mistakes. It's the best time at amateur. You can try things out a bit more. You can mess things up a little bit. You can, like you say, you can lose a bout, but the thing is, you can take so much out of it and go, right, well, we need to work on this. We need to work on this, and that is effectively all the amateur rank is for. It's to let you make mistakes, so when you go to pro ranks, you've got the majority of the mistakes out the way, so that when you've got a lot more sharpened tools, so you're a lot more efficient in the cage.
Yeah, because like I said, once you go pro, you're pro.
Yeah.
And you're not ready to go pro, and you go 0-3, 0-4, 0-5. Who wants you?
Yeah.
Who wants you to fight? You obviously, should have waited.
And you know what? You could probably get yourself a very solid 2016 under your belt, and at the end of the year, you could finish possibly with your first pro bout. You've got yourself set up very nicely for 2016. Then, if you've got these little goals ahead of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. End of the year, maybe beginning of next year, depending on how these next fights go.
Yeah.
And I'm moving out the way of being stubborn. So I'm not, because whether I like it or not, I have to be good everywhere.
Yes.
And if I'm not doing good in one area, takedowns there, clinches there. Last fight, I realized, like, hey, if this guy he has no clue what to do in a clinch, so clinch up.
Yeah, it is. Look, it sounds like you've got almost an experienced professional head on your shoulders from the way you talk about it, the way you assess everything. So I think you really are set up for not just a successful amateur career, but I think for your pro ranks, I think you've got yourself in very good stead. You've got yourself in a good position to make a very powerful and effective move into the pro ranks. Now, Austin, you're fighting, like say, very shortly. This will be the good way to kick off February. It's a good way, obviously, to get yourself a little silverware, possibly on your waist and all this. Before you do all that, have you got any social media stuff that people could jump onto and maybe, follow you, start of your journey into, obviously, the future of the pro ranks and stuff?
Yeah, my Instagram account, I'm always on Instagram. It's Austin C _MMA.
Yeah.
And I'm always on Instagram.
Right.
And then even if people want to add me, I've had fans or whoever add me on Facebook and want to talk about fighting, I'm like, sure. I'm always down to talk.
There you go. Awesome stuff there. Jump on his Instagram and you can jump on the Facebook. What about, have you got any sponsors that help you out at the moment with your training and stuff?
Not at the moment, no.
No, not a problem. What about, have you got any friends, well, do you want to fight, like, coaches, sparring partners, your gym and people like that? And have you got any friends and family who have been supporting you through this amateur career so far?
Yeah, just all knuckle up. All knuckle up. You know, we've got a 170-pound champion here in Georgia. We've got the Valor 125 champion there. So, a lot of good guys. We're all getting sharpening our tools, get ready for fights.
Awesome.
So,
That sounds,
yeah,
like you said, you got champs around you, you know, and like they say, you got success, it breeds success. So, 2016, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye out for Austin Childers. Keep an eye on his little career and how it goes. Austin, thank you very much for giving me some of your time today to have this little chat. And I do wish you a very great weekend and great fight on the 13th at Valor Fights. Okay, sir?
Alright, appreciate it.
Okay, firstly, I'm joined by MMA journalist James Lynch. He does a multitude of aspects of MMA with Sportsnet. You've got MMA odds breakers and Parting Shot MMA. James, firstly, thank you very much for giving me your time to come along and co-host with me.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to be here. We've spoken many times. It's nice to finally actually get to collaborate together. And you and I both, we're on that grind, so to speak, with the interviews and things like that. So you're someone I've always respected in the industry. So it's absolutely my pleasure to be here.
This is my fourth day in a row of doing kind of collectively having guests and speaking to people. So do you know what? Like you say, mate, it is a grind. But the thing is, I enjoy it. I don't know about you, but when I get someone on, I kind of get excited. I'll admit, sometimes you do get people that it's hard to get anything out of them. But maybe it's just they're not comfortable with interviews. I find that myself, that maybe it's their first time of doing them. But a lot of times you do find absolute gems, and you just get it's quite fun.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, it's funny you say that because, like, last night I was up late doing some interviews here. And, my first one, it was a good interview, a guy I've interviewed before. I thought it went okay. But as the night went on, I had a couple really good ones. And that's where, you go to bed at night and you're like, man, that was fun, And I'm sure you guys feel the same way when you're doing your interviews. So it's definitely, it's something we enjoy doing, and you'll make the sacrifices to make it happen.
Yeah, it is, man. It's one of them things. I think I was up till, I think my last one finished at 2:30 in the morning last night.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I can't even complain because you guys, like, I'm talking about staying up late, like, till like 11 o'clock. You guys, not only do you guys watch the cards super late and then have to adjust your time that way, but, also, throughout the week doing interviews. And, man, I can't imagine how difficult it must be to schedule interviews, like, at random hours. Like, I try and schedule it around my 9 to 5, but you guys must have quite the challenge with that. So I commend you for all that.
Yeah, it is fun because obviously we try to, people in the UK that we interview, that's easy. But when it comes to, like, stateside, it's kind of I do know that the 2:30. It's something I do every now. I'll do it every now and then. I think I can do it every now and then. It's not a problem. But I can't do it every week. My body just won't have it. My body won't accept doing that. But if I do it every now and then, I can get over it. But do you know what? I love doing it because we get to get people out there who deserve it. There's guys that don't get the appreciation or even the kind of time that they deserve to voice themselves, that because most media outlets will just be like, if you're not in the UFC, I'm not interested. And that's what I like to get guys who who are trying to get to that goal, and giving that pedestal of being able just to put the voices out there so people can kind of, I don't know, let's say kind of bond or connect with them in some way.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and you do develop, friendships with some of these fighters too, which is always really cool. You get to meet different people, and there are benefits. I mean, you and I, we've interviewed plenty of Shamrock FC guys, where maybe their records aren't the greatest, still really good interviews, really good guys. But like I had an example where I interviewed a guy from Shamrock FC, didn't have an amazing record, but I was able to get an even better interview through him, because he trained with one of these guys, and there's always benefits to it. And the other thing I want to point out is that, like you said, not all these big outlets like your MMA Fightings, MMA Junkies are going to interview these guys. So if you see these fighters grow and they get to the next level, they're always going to remember those interviews from the beginning. So it definitely pays off, and I think we're just filling a void that needs to be filled.
Yeah, it is, man. And you know what? I appreciate what you guys do, the work that you do, and I love what you're putting out there all the time. You're always putting out good content, and that's obviously why I want you on, because you're someone that you know what you're talking about for a start. Does kind of help, but also it's just the way you guys are working. The stuff that you do is valuable, and that's why I like your opinion. That's why I've asked you to come on. So I want to get your opinion. Let's firstly just jump on it. Mr. Henderson going to Bellator. I think that's probably the biggest talking point this week, in my opinion. That's the biggest move. They've made a couple of signings now, Bellator, and that's the biggest one.
Yeah, what a huge move. I was a little bit surprised by this move, not because Benson Henderson's a needle mover necessarily, but he's a guy that can main event fights, and he's extremely talented. I've heard some people say he's on the downside of his career. I disagree. I think he's probably right in the prime right now. I mean, that fight against Cerrone, he should have won that, in my opinion. There's a couple fights where you can kind of look back and say, maybe he would have done better. I think if he fought RDA again, it wouldn't be the same result. Not that Henderson would win, but it would be a closer fight. So we're talking about a guy who immediately goes to Bellator and is a star, basically, and can fight in the welterweight division, can fight in the lightweight division. It's a big asset for Bellator to sign Benson Henderson, and I'm intrigued. I am very intrigued with that fight that's going to be taking place at Bellator 153 between him and Koreshkov. The welterweight division has kind of taken a huge dive in Bellator since Ben Askren left. They lost Ben Saunders and a couple other guys. So to add a guy like Benson Henderson in there, you've made me a fan, and I'll definitely be tuning in.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I was surprised, like you say, that he got the title shot immediately. I thought he might have got a 155 stab, but the fact that he's near 170, I think, like you say, the welterweight division does need a bit more filling in for Bellator. They need to pack it out a bit more. They've invested in the heavyweight division. It seems he's slowly starting to get what he needs, and he's starting to build his own brand in a way. It's like I still think he's still transitioning over from the old Bellator. I still don't think it's all his yet. It's going to take time. We know this. And like Paul Daly, it still excites me because you got Paul Daly who's not getting a title shot yet. So you think, is Paul Daly going to fight the winner? So is it the winner of the Daly and Koscheck fight the winner of the title fight? It makes the welterweight division exciting now.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, the thing you touched a bit on there is that, the lightweight division, they have a few guys that are kind of waiting in the wings. You've got Josh Thompson, you've got Michael Chandler. Welterweight, I don't really know what's going on. Douglas Lima, is he going to 185? That's kind of what we've been hearing, that the weight cut's been, extremely difficult. And obviously, I think he's still injured anyway. So outside of that, you got Michael Page, you've got Paul Daly. That's about it. You had a guy like Henderson in there. It kind of mixes things up a little bit. So I think the strategy there is just to kind of beef up a division that like I said, definitely needs it. And I was surprised too that Henderson got the title shot, because if you saw Thompson's fighting Pablo Vizcaya and Mike Bronzoulis, and you've got Koscheck fighting Matt Sikor. I would rather see them put these guys to the wolves and make the matchups that people want to see right away, instead of doing the slow build. And even a guy like Michael Page, he's fighting a tougher guy in Fernando Gonzalez, but come on, we want to see him against Daly at some point. So I think there's a lot of ways that Bellator can go, but I certainly appreciate the fact that they're giving Henderson a tough test.
Yeah, I like that Bellator is slowly starting to fill up the kind of talent pool, really. They're starting to get a little bit more depth, is what they needed. I think it's a good signing. I think Bellator this year, fingers crossed, they'll start. I still feel, I've said it before, I think we'll start to see more guys transfer over to Bellator from the UFC. And to be honest with you, a big part is A, what they're getting offered, and B, that Reebok deal. And it does add a lot of spice to it, though. It adds interest into what could happen.
Yeah, I agree. And, I'm in favor of guys leaving the UFC and going to Bellator and going on to greater pastures, whether they want easier competition, whether they want more money. I don't care. For me, it's more exciting. I mean, would you rather see Benson Henderson? Let's say Benson Henderson, loses a fight or two and he's on the prelims and he's on Fight Pass. Are you that excited to see him on the prelims, or would you be more excited if he was in the main event of a Bellator card? For these fighters, the exposure can be so much better sometimes if you go to another organization because you're the big fish there. And I think the spotlight is more on those types of fighters, and they don't sort of fall into obscurity like some other fighters. Like, prime example, like you look at a guy like Jim Miller, who's kind of bounced around between wins and losses. He's been on the prelims a lot, but he's an exciting guy. Now, you put Jim Miller in Bellator, all of a sudden in a co-main event, I think you're a lot more intrigued to see him fight. So I'm in favor of guys, the fighters kind of spreading the wealth a little bit, so to speak, in other organizations. And I'm the type of guy who would watch more if a guy's in a co-main event or main event than he is on the prelims.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Jim Miller side of things. Well, I love him. I love Jim Miller. Such a good fighter. But he's one of them ones. He's been seriously lacking consistency his last few fights. He might fight out his contract. I think a lot of guys are doing that as well. I think a lot of guys are going to fight out their contracts. This year will be a huge time when you see a lot of guys fight their contract out just so they can see their worth. And it's something that he should do. I think a lot of fighters are starting to get the confidence, and they're starting to be a lot more brave in the sense of they're not scared to leave.
Right. Yeah, and I think the other thing, too, that we might see this year is more retirements. I mean, I hate to say it, I think a lot of fighters are kind of seeing what the top of the food chain is, and it's not all glamorous like it maybe once was or what they thought it was at a certain point. You would probably know better than me. Like, I found the retirement last year of Cathal Pendred quite surprising because, here's a guy, the UFC is extremely popular in Ireland, and I know, maybe he didn't have the greatest record. He's coming off the loss, was it Tom Breeze or someone, I forget, finished him in his last fight. But I mean, again, you're from Ireland, you'd think that's kind of a driving force, but I think if you look at the finances behind everything, he wasn't making a lot of money, and I think that was part of the reason he retired. So I think we could see more of that this year, unfortunately.
Well, that was the thing with him. He was the Cage Warriors champion, then he went over to the UFC. He did tough, but and when he got to the UFC, he wasn't the same kind of fighter as Conor McGregor outside of the cage, which was a huge factor. He was a very quiet fighter, and that makes a difference. He wasn't there giving it all that with his mouth. He would just go in and go and fight, and that would be it. A lot of time it's all about the talking. He retired. Do you know what? I think he was too small for the welterweight division anyway. He didn't cut an awful lot of weight, and when he went in there, when Breeze just went through him like a hot knife through butter, it was just devastating to watch him get. He just got mauled. He got absolutely crushed in him, and like he said, there will, and he just probably thought, is it worth the money to have this done? Is probably what he was thinking in the end of the day, and a lot of fighters will start to do that, and you're right, it isn't glitz and glam. The money isn't super. It isn't great. It only is if you're at the very, very top, and it's a shame really because these guys, they put in. I when I had a fight, I put 6 week fight camp in. Sorry, spit the words out. And do you know what? I am absolutely exhausted some days. I'm physically drawn out, and then to go and fight for pittance, really, it's almost disrespectful to what I'm doing. But there's no way of getting the money up. That's the problem.
Yeah. I agree, and that's why one thing you'll never see me do is disrespect fighters on social media or things like that and say this guy sucks, because you know what? It takes a special type of person to be a fighter. It's not a sport where you're going to make a lot of money. It's a passion sport as much as the UFC. The head people like Lorenzo and Dana want to tell you it's a worldwide sport and that it's thriving. They're the side of it that, I mean, what other professional sport are you seeing guys take part-time, having full-time jobs on top of fighting when they're in the UFC? I mean, it's unheard of. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for the athletes, and I think that's one of the reasons I like doing this, because I think their stories are very interesting, and people that are really living life and pushing it to the limit as far as being able to balance everything, because it's very difficult.
Oh well, Neil Seery is a good example. He's such a gentleman. I've sat down with Neil Seery, and he's such a nice guy to chat to. He works full-time hours like a normal man, like a normal day job, and trains, and then he fights in the UFC as well, and he's not doing too bad.
Exactly, and he's making it work, and other guys, maybe they're going all in and trying to make it work as well too. But everyone's got a different story, and I think it's looking at it from the outside in, I think you have to have sort of a backup plan, because if you don't, I mean, it can be pretty rough, and then you add in the brain damage. It can be a very brutal sport, and we've seen that with some guys, post-retirement or post-UFC career, not live such glamorous lives. So it's kind of a cautionary tale for other fighters.
I thought was it Coleman who sold his Pride trophies off the top of my head because he was short of funds. You just think to yourself, you think Mark Coleman, who was Mr. Ground and Pound, who to us is like a legend in the sport in our eyes, but in the grand scheme of thing of the world, he's just an old guy who wrestled and had a few fights. That's it. Like, he's no one to the rest of the world, but to us, he's this phenom, and he had to sell these basic accolades that he won to make ends meet.
Yeah, definitely, and it's again just shows kind of the dedication that these guys put into the sport, and I think it's it's remarkable that some of these guys are still keep plugging away, and I think that a guy like Coleman, I mean, it's very unfortunate to see, his post-retirement, and even someone like Gary Goodridge, I mean, up here in Canada, I don't know if you saw that story on Access TV, just devastating to see what he's dealing with, and I hate to say it, we're probably going to see more cases like that later on, but it's kind of the dark side of the sport that I think is going to be, kind of more, prevalent, I think, once the sport sort of evolves a bit more.
I love Gary Goodridge, had him on the podcast. Just such an absolute gent of a man. Really funny as well. Just an absolute gent he is.
Yeah. No, he's great, and I've seen him at all the shows, actually. Like at Bellator, we saw him, and because they did a couple Bellator shows up here, so he always goes to that, because I believe he actually lives in Barrie, which is just kind of close to where the Bellator fights used to be up at Casino Rama, and, you see him here and there, like I saw him, I think, at one of the UFCs as well, too, so, he's making the rounds, but, just unfortunate, what he has to deal with on a day-to-day basis, so, not everyone, can be like Josh Koscheck and make good business investments, probably, there's a few guys that are quite well. I shouldn't say Koscheck because he's actually not retired, but you look at someone like, like Chuck Liddell or someone, got a job with the UFC. Yeah. Very rare circumstance, but he's still making it work.
Well, that's the thing there. There isn't always going to be a job to work on the panel at Fox or work in the background in the UFC. There's not always going to be that option there for fighters. But speaking of Canada, why on earth are you guys not getting any decent fight cards for the UFC? Because it blows my mind to think that you guys held that massive card with GSP and Jake Shields, and it feels like you've been just abandoned. It feels like the UFC just went, nah, we don't need Canada, and the market for Canada is fantastic.
Yeah, it is. And, the thing is, and people will look at some of the other, the cards that we've had recently where they're like, oh, the attendance wasn't there. I mean, those weren't strong cards, and I think for the UFC to try and make it become a pay-per-view was a really tough sell. Nothing against Demetrius Johnson, but, I think we've seen, not just in Canada, but also in the States, that he's not much of a draw, very talented, but that doesn't mean he's going to be a big draw. It's a combination of things. I think it's, we have a lot of issues here with our commissions. I'm out here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I know our commission here is just awful, to the point of where there aren't even any local shows, because there's just so much corruption and so many issues that that goes into putting on a show. So that you've got the fact that there isn't a lot of sort of fighters to rave about, so to speak, out here in Canada. I mean, you've got Patrick Cote, and Misha Serkinov's up fighting this weekend, so he's a guy as well too that maybe could come on the come up. It's difficult. There are no superstars. St. Pierre was kind of a gem when we had him, because not only was he a good-looking guy, extremely talented, obviously the champion as well too, and not only did he represent Canada, but he represented French Canada as well too. We're kind of divided in that way, and I think that's something that a lot of people overlook. So he was known globally, and it's tough to have another one of those. And I think it's just the classic case of Canada's sort of the ex-girlfriend of the UFC, the hot ex-girlfriend that just kind of left in the dust and kind of moving on. The UFC's in the business of what have you done for me lately. So I think they're looking at that. I mean, Rory McDonald's not going to sell out a stadium, unfortunately. It's kind of just is what it is. I think I think Canadians have kind of been spoiled in a way, because when St. Pierre was here, we got the marquee events, we got the pay-per-view worthy cards, but in general, the pay-per-views, there's always a couple that are lacking. I think we end up getting those a lot of the time. And I also think that you're not going to have you don't have a lot of options as far as star power. So I think the UFC would succeed here if they did like fight nights. I think those would work because there is a lot of local Canadian talent that you can put on those cards. But pay-per-views, I think that's sort of a pipe dream at this point.
Well, with the pay-per-views, I knew how big they were. That was feeling like maybe it is because of George St. Pierre, but I feel like you say, it's almost like they've just forgotten and abandoned Canada. And you think,
I agree.
If you don't tap into that market, it sounds daft, but you need to keep that market going because you'll get people who want to get in the UFC who are training in Canada in MMA, and that little going to watch a show helps that pipe dream. Helps that dream of being, oh wow, I'm on the regional scene at the moment. I go to a UFC event, I get to watch it, see what it's like, and little things like that inspire fighters to get into the UFC. And I think it's a huge thing. I don't know why they've not went there. I think they could do a pay-per-view there, in my opinion. I think if Rory McDonald got another shot at the title and you had Rory McDonald, Robbie Lawler 2, there would be, I'd tell you, if you did a pay-per-view there in Canada, that would sell.
Oh, that absolutely was. I think that's the only fight you can do, though. I mean, maybe you could do a Rory Lombard type fight that might do well as well too. But the other issue is just the fact that I think the UFC is just kind of not really giving Canada the love it used to get. Tom Wright, who's the UFC Canada president, really kind of quiet. I mean, here we are in February. We don't have any clue if there's going to even be any cards. We keep hearing there is, but there's nothing confirmed. And he's also managing the Australia, sector of the UFC as well too. So how can you be 100% focused on Canada if you're trying to do double duty? I know a guy who actually works for the UFC, he's one of their communications guys, and he's going to Australia all the time. And I'm thinking, are you guys working at all to get anything done here? It seems like we got this Australia card coming up with Frank Mir and Mark Hunt, but what's going on in Canada? We need to be, one other thing I wanted to point out. Last weekend I was at the boxing fight between John Pascal and Sergei Kovalev, and I'm in the Bell Center, and the year before I'm at the Bell Center as well for UFC 186 with Johnson and Horiguchi, and it was a massive difference. And you know what it is? It's the fact that Montreal, they showed up when St. Pierre was there. They showed up and made it sort of a destination for the UFC, and you just look at the boxing, like they're putting on a good card. The people are coming out, like that place was just booming. When Pascal came out, I haven't heard a roar like that since St. Pierre was there. So obviously people will come out if you give them the proper card. And I think Montreal could be a destination, but the UFC for whatever reason just doesn't want to put on something quality. You're not going to see like a Luke Rockhold and Chris Weidman in Montreal because the UFC just feels that they can just do it in Vegas, and that's unfortunate. And
it's all about money. That's the sad thing about it with Vegas. It's all about the money. Do you know what? I think you could do a Rockhold and Weidman in Canada. There would be nothing. I tell you what, that would be an absolute sellout still. I think it's a great card. TriStar, I've got an absolute encyclopedia of fighters there. There's so many fighters there. It's unbelievable. I know a lot of them aren't Canadian, but they've got a lot of fighters there. They can pump out some names for you, even new signings. It's there. For example, they've just signed a guy called Damir Hadzovic to go on the Zagreb card. That guy is an absolute monster.
Nice. It's always nice. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I tell you, watch out. I tell you, you can watch his fight. He fought for Cage Warriors, and when Cage Warriors went, he obviously had to go back to the regional scene in Europe. He's an absolute monster. At 155, he's an absolute. He's just a scary man.
Yeah, I love hearing about up and coming fighters and kind of the next big thing, and it's always I think I don't know why the UFC hasn't done like an Ultimate Fighter even with like the TriStar gym, just because there's so much talent there. Why they haven't sort of tapped into that? And I think there's a lot of. I mean, here's the thing. People ask me all the time. They're like, there's the MMA scene in Canada is dying or it's dead. It's not dead. There's lots of really good fighters. They just don't get opportunities. Yeah. Small example. Literally, Josh Hill. Remember him on The Ultimate Fighter? He's actually done quite well since he's left the show. He had that really close fight with Marlon Moraes. Actually, the only guy who's pushed Marlon Moraes to a decision and made it really competitive. And what's he doing? He's sitting in obscurity because World Series of Fighting, just for whatever reason, will not book this guy. I'd love to see him in the UFC. I'm not saying he's going to, make a bunch of waves, but there's a guy who's extremely talented. He's, 13-1 and can't get a fight. So I think that the talent is definitely there. It's just a matter of the opportunity.
He's not the only one, though, at World Series of Fighting who's trying to get a fight. It seems there's a lot of guys there who are signed up and they're just sitting there on the shelf and they're just basically losing out in their career because You know, every quarter of the year that goes by, a fighter will look at that and go, "I've lost out in a fight."
Yeah, it's true, and we've seen one of the big reasons why that was happening, and hopefully that will improve. Of course, Ali Abdelaziz, with his dominance, fighters just being extremely biased, and as far as booking fights, I mean, that's what bothers me. I don't care if there's conflict of interest in a lot of promotions, but when you're literally making sure that guys don't fight because you're putting your other fighters ahead of them, I have a problem with that. Yeah. You want to do favorable matchups, that's one thing, but leaving fighters on the sidelines, and I mean, you and I have talked to them. The fighters that have left World Series of Fighting to go to Titan, for example, that just haven't been able to get fights, and it's not one or two fighters. We're talking a full roster of guys that just want to fight and won't get fights booked, and instead they're putting on these, no-name cards with a lot of guys we haven't even heard of. Like this upcoming World Series of Fighting card, I forget which one it is, the one that's coming up, I think the Moraes card, actually. There's a lot of fighters in there. I don't have a clue who they are. Why aren't you booking the guys that, people know? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Do you know what I think it is? It's a financial thing. The guys that they've got will cost them more money. The guys that they're bringing in, there'll be guys that probably are on these like I've seen the payouts. They're like $1,000. They're on a bit of a financial. They're not financially stable still. World Series of Fighting. I know they're trying to clean themselves up, as you said. Removing Ali is a big factor in that. It gets like rid of a bit of a dirty stain on them, but they're still not kind of steady. That ship isn't steady yet. There's some financial woes about it in the background. I don't know what's going to come of it, but I think that's partly why we don't still see some of these great names. You had the John Fitch fight has changed. It's not Jake Shields now because Jake Shields had a dispute with a contract. Is that about money? I'd love to see Jake Shields go to Bellator with Scott Coker. They've done stuff before in the past together. I could probably see that happening.
Yeah, I'd love to see that too. Shields, probably the most underrated welterweight fighter. A guy who I think, I know the price tag might have been too high for the UFC, but a guy who really should still be in the UFC. I mean, he had the loss to Lombard. He still holds a win over Damian Maia, which, Maia's, probably on the cusp of a title shot. And, Shields is out there, beating, lower tier guys. So, I hope Jake Shields goes to Bellator. Imagine him and Benson Henderson or him and Koreshkov. I'd love to watch that.
Well, and the thing is, he could go to 185 as well, Jake Shields.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the other good thing. Again, it's another guy who's an option of 2 weight classes. It gives you more options. It gives the fans more options. It makes it more exciting. The fact that you can throw Benson Henderson and Jake Shields to 2 weight classes. It's a win-win.
Yeah, no, it is, and Bellator's got to start strengthening some of those divisions. I mean, we all know the divisions that they have that are quite strong, but middleweight's one that they've kind of neglected over the last couple of years. Yeah. Even with their championship and everything else, I think they, Carvalho's their champion. I don't ever see them talk about the fact that he won the title or anything. It was, it's just kind of like they just don't talk about it. So that's something they got to work on, and that's a division, like I said, that could use some star power because really there's no one. I mean, it's Hasley and Carvalho, and I don't even know who else. Kendall Grove's in there, I think, still. It's not what he used to be. It wasn't back in the days when they had Shlemenko and Lombard and all those other guys, So it's been, it's taken a bit of a dive.
Yeah, it is one of them ones where I feel like Bellator are building up a couple of weight classes, but I just think there's too many weight classes for Scott Coker to try and fill up at once. I think what it looks like he's trying to do is he's just trying to build a couple for now, and then he'll go back to the, like you say, the middleweight division. He'll work on that once the other divisions have sorted out, and then he can just slowly, like I say, I think he is just slowly building up that, I won't say strike force roster, but it's like he's trying to build up like a strike force again. He's trying to get his own guys in that he wants in. And I think we're going to see some good signings this year. I think he's going to bring in some names that will, excite us, especially because he's coming away. He's coming to Europe. That's going to be that's going to be huge. He's going to sign some new names, and that just adds to it. I think that's a great move by Bellator.
I agree, and I completely forgot that Alessio Sakara is fighting Brian Rogers in that Italy card. Like, that's kind of cool. I would watch that. I like kind of fights like that. I'm going to watch Shamrock Gracie. I don't mind that stuff. I just don't want to see it every card, I suppose, for my liking. Yeah. Like, I don't, to be honest, have really any interest in Kimbo and 3,000 or whatever. I'd rather see like a Georgie Karharian and Weichel, a fight like that. That's a fight that you can sign me up for, because those are two top featherweights. Those are the type of fights I like. I don't mind a little bit here and there, but just they get in the habit of putting these no-name guys like I mentioned the Josh Thompson fight when he fought Pablo Viscalia. Okay, fair enough. They want to get Thompson the win. Give him someone at least noteworthy. I mean, he's at the later stages in his career. I know nothing about Pablo Viscalia other than Bobby Cooper beat him in Bellator. That's all I know about him. So I'd like to see more sort of marquee fights. That's kind of what I'm asking for.
And Josh is no slouch. He is a tough guy to beat. It's not like it's a risk to put him in there against a guy who's got a good kind of credentials of his own. Like, Josh can handle himself really well, and like you say, as he's at the latter stages, Josh might only have maybe 2 more years of fights, and that's if he's injury free as well. You've got to make the most out of someone like that.
I agree. I completely agree, and I think it's something that you're right. It's going to take time to build, and I think it's something that we certainly have to keep our eye on as far as where the promotion's going to go. And the good thing for Coker is he's got a nice backing with Viacom, so things can get very interesting. And we saw that this week with Henderson and also Haratonov signing. Yeah,
I love the fact that he's bulking up that heavyweight division, that's Bellator. It looks like they're doing some things that are exciting. It's adding some spice, and do you know what? It will get them more views. I think definitely when they get Henderson fighting, I'd love to see the figures for that card. As soon as that card's happened, I can't wait to see what the figures are, because I think the numbers are going to do really well for them with that.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely want to see them succeed and do big things. And competition is good. It helps the fighters. It helps MMA fans. The more the merrier, because the problem is the UFC is doing so many cards that a lot of guys are getting buried. So it's nice to see other organizations step up and sign these guys and give them some more exposure, because they just need to spread it out a bit more. Yeah,
exactly. And do you know what? You mentioned Titan before. Fingers crossed. 2016. I want to see a consistency with Titan. I don't want to see anything fall through again. And because do you know what? They put on some really good fights, Titan. And this card that they've got coming up, Desmond Green and Pat Healy, that's a hell of a matchup. I love that matchup already. Desmond Green not cutting the weight, going to 155. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so am I. They're really stacking the deck with this one. That was the fight I thought. I was like, as soon as I heard Green wanted to go up to 55, I thought, Pat Healy seems like kind of the logical choice. I guess because they have so many other title fights that they didn't make this for the vacant title, because Rick Hahn obviously retired, so the title's vacant. So I'm curious to see what they decide to do with that title picture. But I've always been a Des Green fan. I actually had the opportunity to watch him fight live. Unfortunately, it was a loss. It was when he fought Daniel Weichel in the tournament final in Bellator. But he's a guy I've always been a fan of, and if you follow him on social media, he's quite the funny guy too, because he is always posting video updates on Snapchat. So he's a very entertaining guy, and a guy that I think will be in the UFC at some point.
Yeah, he is. He's a very athletic, exciting guy, and he's down at Black Zillions now. He was at TriStar. I think he went down to Black Zillions off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, he is. He's down there now. It looks like full time, and I'm guessing the connection there between Alchemist with Lex McMahon being in Florida, getting him down there and training there, and it just seems like a better fit for him as far as the guys he can train with, and then that weight class. You've got guys like Michael Johnson, and you've got another guy that we saw a bit of in Bellator is Jordan Pretty Boy Parsons, another featherweight there. Lots of guys you can kind of work with, and it seems like it's working out well for him. I know he lost the fight to Harrison, but again, Harrison's a guy I think he should be in the UFC. So you're losing to him, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, Harrison is a guy. He just needs. I spoke to him and I said to him, you just need to get the finish. Is what you need to get. You're beating these guys who I said to him. You beat Bollinger, Hollowblog, and Green. I said those 3 names are legitimate names to beat. The thing is, you just need to get those finishes under your belt now, and I tell you that will just add a whole new dimension to you, because he is an absolute handful. Andre Harrison is.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, he's got an interesting fight here with Steven Seiler. I like the matchup. Again, another win here. That's another UFC veteran he takes out. If he gets, I agree. I think if he gets the finish here, there's no way the UFC can deny him at this point. He's got the undefeated record. I like watching him fight. Even that Green fight I know people didn't like. I still enjoy it. I think there's a lot of chess that's being played in fights like that. So, I like I said, he was on our, we picked him on our Parting Shot Awards show as most likely to go to the UFC next year. So hopefully, gets a nice win here against Siler, and then the UFC makes the right choice and brings him in the featherweight division.
Yeah, he'd be a good addition, I think. I think he'd be a very good addition to add. And do you know what? He's doing nothing wrong to get into there, so I wish the best of luck to him. Got a lot of time for Andre Harrison. Such a nice guy.
Yeah, completely agree. And like I said, we'll see what he's really made of against Siler. Siler is no pushover, so he's going to have to be on his A game for that one.
I tell you, talking about a former fight, Josh Berkman, former World Series fighting, going against KJ Nunes this weekend. I tell you what, that fight has went right under the radar, in my opinion.
Yeah, interesting too, because Berkman's going down to 55.
Yeah.
So generally when a guy moves down a weight class when he's older, it usually doesn't fare out well for him. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it might work out for him. Tough to say. I usually tend to favor the guy who's been in that weight class longer. So if you're asking me for my pick, I am picking KJ Nunes. But Berkman, had some tough fights. The fight with Dong Young Kim, he was actually doing well in, and then he got finished. And the Lombard fight, not an easy debut. And then Cote, back and forth until Cote just landed better on him, and Cote seems to be getting better every fight, so no shame in any of those losses. And Nunes is a guy who's kind of had an up and down career, so that is potential fight of the night, dare I say. I think it's that good. So.
I'm looking forward to Berkman at 155. Like you say, when you're getting older, it's hard to cut weight, but with Berkman, he feels he's got it in him. I look forward to the fight, but I'll tell you what, Patrick Cote, he is a different animal at 170.
Yeah, he is. That's a guy, talk about, a career that's had its ups and downs. I mean, this is a guy who made his UFC debut at light heavyweight against Tito Ortiz, and now here he is, knocking out Ben Saunders. Cote's, regardless of how the rest of his career goes, he is going to be one of those all-time greats for Canada. Unfortunately never, won a title. I don't think he's going to win a title, but still doing all the right things. And he's got a great post-fight career, too, with the commentating work with RDS, which is basically like the French... Well, sorry, it's the Canadian TSN, but the French version, if that makes sense. So it's the Canadian ESPN, I should say. Just imagine ESPN in French in Quebec. That's basically what Cote does. I'm
looking forward to seeing this year for Cote, because he's going to start getting really big fights now. Because you can't look past Patrick Cote as being. I think he's going to be a good contender in the top 10. He's going to be definitely. I can see him pushing into the top 10 because for me, he just looks phenomenal at 170.
Yes, he does, and that all the credit I guess goes to his conditioning and his diet and everything, and it's translated well. I mean, there was a point. I mean, do you remember this when he was on the Ultimate Fighter coaching again opposite Kyle Noak, and everyone picked Kyle Noak, and Cote out-wrestled him, and that's something we haven't seen in his career. And from there, it's just gotten better and better, and he's really starting to find his hands. Because I can go back to the Alessio Sakara fight, which. He's lucky that ended up being a DQ because he was rocked in that fight, and then the Volker fight I thought he lost, and he managed to pull out a hometown decision in Montreal, and here he is, and he's done quite well at welterweight. I think he's only got the one loss to Wonderboy at this point,
which isn't a bad loss to have to someone like him.
No.
It's not a bad loss, but a fight that I'll mention it. It's OSP's back, and he's got a fight against Rafael Cavalcante. I always keep saying this wrong, but I'll do for my pronunciation. OSP is one of them guys who he's got a lot of flair, but he's got something missing in his chain, and I don't know whether it's maybe he needs to go to a different gym to look at a different angle maybe, but OSP's got so much in that package that can make him a fantastic fighter. He could be a title contender if he just could get everything to link in.
I agree. It's such a weird thing, He can beat the lower tier guys like no problem. Like for example, I think this fight against Feijao, I think he finishes him. I think he's gonna have another incredible performance here. Again, could be wrong here, but history told us that anytime he fights a guy that's not in the top 5 or whatever, he usually does quite well. I mean, Pat Cummins. You look at the fight with Shogun where he finished him. I mean, those are fights that he does quite well in. It's the fights against your Ryan Baders and your Glover Teixeiras that he can't seem to get over the hump. And I'm with you. it's the talent is there. I just think sometimes you got to go to your comfort zone and find a gym that's really going to kind of elevate you to that next level. Another guy I'd kind of put in that category too. Just don't want to go too much off topic. Is Gegard Mousasi. You know how frustrating it is to be a fan of this guy when he just refuses to train in the U.S. It's the worst. Talent's there, but just doesn't want to get out of his comfort zone. That's what it appears on the outside to me.
I'm with you as well. Do you know what? He is one of them guys. When he is on point, he is one monster. He is an absolute monster. But then he just can't keep it up all the time. And I'm thinking, why is that? What is he missing? Can he not? Because he could be an absolute killer any day of the week. But sometimes it's just not here. He just doesn't turn up.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm kind of, I think, in OSP's case, I think he wins here, but where does he go from here? He's going to have to fight someone, higher at some point. Maybe he fights Gustafsson if he wins here. I don't know what they do with him, but he's got to. I mean, the UFC is only going to give you so many chances before they cut you, and I think if he'll probably win here. They give him another step up, and he can't get by, or at least have a competitive outing. I think he's toast because those fights he lost to Bader and to Glover. I mean, they weren't close, so you have to. You got to evolve at some point, and otherwise, the UFC is just going to say see you later.
I wouldn't mind OSP Jimmy Manuwa, maybe.
Yeah, sign me up for that too. That's another one where it'd be interesting to see, kind of where both guys fit, so to speak. Manuwa's a guy, kind of plagued by injuries, unfortunately, but still has some talent there. That's an excellent fight, actually. Kudos to you.
Yeah, I like the fight because they both would stand, so you definitely get a stand-up battle with them too as well. That's why I think about that one might work. And they're both of them. They're not in the top 5. I think that's a good fit, but obviously OSP has to win this fight to get that matched up. The 125 division in the UFC is there isn't really, so I'll rephrase that. The Demetrius Johnson division, you've got Benavidez in it. Do you know what, this fight as well? I love the flyweights myself. I won't lie. I love the flyweight division. I love those guys. I think that their technique is absolutely superb. The combinations, the angles that these guys throw is just sublime. Now, he's got a hell of a fight, though, against an upcoming kid, and I think I'll call him an upcomer, Makovsky. I always say this name wrong as well. Makovsky. Benavidez, he's in that period of his career where he's... What does he do? If he can't... he's not going to get a title shot. Well, can he get a title shot again?
It's tough to say. I mean, maybe, because that division's so thin kind of outside. I mean, it's obvious that Johnson's going to get Cejudo next, and then after that, who's really kind of chomping at the bit? There isn't really anyone. So, if Benavidez gets, it really kind of depends what happens with this fight. If Benavidez goes out there and finishes Makovsky in the first round, then of course, we've got a guy we can still talk about because he's still really great. I mean, it's unfortunate that second fight he got caught, and we didn't really get to see an all-out war like we were expecting. So I think there is an appetite for Benavidez getting another title shot. The problem is, I think this fight against Makovsky, I'm looking at the odds here. Benavidez is minus 470. That's way too high for me. Makovsky's a gamer, man. He's a guy that a former Bellator champion, a Bellator tournament winner. He's a guy you can't really sleep on it at some point. And I think we saw that in his fight with John Dodson, where he pushed him to the limit, and I actually thought Makovsky won that fight. So, I expect Benavidez to probably win a decision here, but you can't win over Makovsky, an impressive win, would certainly silence those critics who feel he shouldn't get a title shot. But it's easier said than done because Makovsky's, I don't actually think he's ever been knocked out in his career, and I think he's only had the one submission loss there to what's his name in Bellator, the champion now, or no, the former champion, Eduardo Dantas. He lost to him, so it's pretty. He's a very durable guy.
I'm with you. I don't think this should be looked over. That like those odds, like you just said there, that is crazy. I can't believe those odds. Benavidez, I don't think we'll see him win with his hands. I think if he's going to finish him, like you say, it's going to be a submission. It's going to be one of those kind of Team Alpha Males guillotines that they lock in there. But he's got a hell of a fight. I think John Dobson lost that fight as well. I think Mashkovi won that fight, in my opinion. I think what won it for John Dobson was every now and then he does the flashiest stuff, and judges, they're not the best. Not all judges are the best educated, and when they see something flashy, they go, ooh, something shiny, and it sticks in their mind more. And I think that's possibly what won the fight for him, because that fight was really tight, to be fair. But I don't think he won it either. Now,
and then I think obviously, like, you know, not that the judges are influenced necessarily by the UFC, but I mean, the UFC wanted that Dodson rematch.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
you know, there's some pressure there too.
There was, but the thing is, I feel for Henry Cujo because I don't want him to fight Demetrius Johnson yet. He's not ready.
Yeah.
He's not ready. I think he's still too raw.
I agree. I think, you know, I don't think he poses anything different that Johnson hasn't seen. And Johnson's in the prime of his career right now. It's kind of like Horiguchi. I mean, Horiguchi, you know, he got outclassed in that fight, but he's still extremely talented in that division. So it's just a product of bad timing. That division still needs to develop. I mean, it's not that old. You know, it's still fairly new, I should say. So, you know, they've got to start looking elsewhere for flyweights. And that's, you know, that's what the problem is. Like the UFC, they bury these fights on the prelims, and they just don't give the division the attention it deserves. And I guess from a financial standpoint, maybe it doesn't draw in the viewers, but you can't ignore it because you're going to have situations where guys are going to be rushed, and that's what's happening here with Cejudo.
Yeah, well, there's a guy in the UK called Brett Casewell, former judoka, very, very high level. He's not being thrown into the UFC yet. I don't know why. There's a handful of guys out there. I think Lewis Smoker might be the next kind of contender for the 125 as well. He's just on the outskirts, but I think he's probably the next name to get thrown into the hat, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I agree. I was really impressed by him, and especially that last fight against Houlihan.
Yeah.
Just and a likable guy too, and just very young and still extremely talented. He's a guy we gotta definitely keep an eye on as far as his development goes. Kind of like the Max Holloway of that division, so to speak. You know, both being Hawaiian.
Yeah, definitely. Holloway's he's an exciting character, man, and well, the 145 division. I don't know what they're gonna do. Because I just want to give Frankie Edgar a hug.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you know, you couldn't have had a better outing against Mendez, and now he's, you know, probably going to have to fight Holloway or something. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I guess it also depends on, you know, well, I suppose if McGregor wins against Dos Anjos, I mean, I can't see McGregor going back down at that point, so maybe they do the vacant title between Edgar and Holloway, but that's too close to UFC 200, so I think they're going to have to figure something out with that. Maybe they just do Edgar and Holloway anyways, and I don't know. We'll see. Yeah,
the 145 is interesting because then Jose Aldo, what does he do? Does he say, right, I'm off, I want to retire? There's a lot going on in that division. There's no answers being given out yet by the UFC.
Yeah, it's and here's the thing, like they're giving Weidman a rematch, which I don't agree with. Like my thing is like, okay, so a guy defends his title a bunch of times, fair enough. You know, maybe you kind of just decide that he is, you know, warrants a rematch. But if a guy gets finished, like I just don't like these rematches where a guy was clearly outclassed. Like if it's a close decision, like a Jones and Gustafsson, fair enough. Yeah. Sign me up for a rematch. But if it's a fight where the guy gets finished, I have no interest. Like really, I don't think Chris Weidman's going to beat Rockhold in the rematch. I don't know what he could do differently. I know he made a mistake in that fight, but Rockhold was overwhelming him anyway. So I don't want to see it. And someone like Aldo, I actually would give him the benefit of the doubt and give him the rematch only because he held the title for so long, and he kind of got caught. I mean, he kind of ran into it. It's not like it was a 3-round beating. Not to take anything away from McGregor's performance, but I just feel like that was a situation where, you know, he got caught and he paid the price.
And there could be more in it. Yeah, we could see a great fight. We just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people still, you know, we feel like we didn't get our money's worth, so to speak. I mean, unless you're Irish, you know, because obviously you wanted McGregor to win. But you know, for the fan out there like you and me, I mean, you know, you wanted to see a bit of a competitive fight, or at the very least, you know, if let's say McGregor took over as the fight went on, at least then we know for sure, like, hey, look, Aldo. You know, I mean, you know, he's a step behind. Again, McGregor was a better fighter. I just think that it was kind of you know, Aldo made a big mistake. I kind of compare it a bit to Werdum and Dos Anjos years ago, right? Like Werdum kind of walked, you know, right into that punch and lost. You know, so you know, I don't think it's indicative of his skill set.
I just think we all missed out on a potentially great fight, and that's I'm the same. I just feel not let down. I just feel like we missed out on something potentially great, and I just like to see it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know what they do. And now Aldo, I mean, he's been so kind of disrespected by the UFC and everything. Like, what is going to happen there? I still think, I still want to see him compete. So hopefully he doesn't retire. But a lot's going to depend on March 6th, right? To see kind of what happens there.
Big
so
time.
I mean, Connor's in a great spot right now, so he's really got nothing to lose.
I think though this year is the year of the rematches. Though I think that's just what we've kind of got to accept. We're just going to see it with the Weidman Rockhold. I kind of was like this. I was kind of the same as you, but then again, that fight I had it going before that fight. I think I had round 1 Rockhold, round 2 Weidman. I think off the top of my head, and then obviously Weidman done some stupid spinning, never done before crap, and then he just basically got pummeled into the ground. And you know what? Weidman needed that, and I'd like to see maybe a different Weidman going in, because his wrestling was working well, to be fair.
Yeah.
And
I agree. And I will say, too, you can make the argument as well that, Weidman's still the best guy in the division, so, maybe you want to see a rematch there, because really, Romero, popped hot.
Yep.
You can't do him. The thing is, I would have not had an issue with Belfort getting the shot, and I realized he had fought for the title 2 fights before, but Rockhold's the champ. He should be allowed to avenge a loss if he wanted to avenge one, so I would have had no problem with Rockhold, beating up Belfort. I guess that would have been a nice option, or they could have given it to Jacare, done that rematch. I would have been fine with that too, but you know what? This is the fight we get. The thing is, though, if Weidman loses again, then what happens to him? It's 2 losses in a row. Like, that's kind of the dagger, so to speak, the other end of the sword when it comes to these rematches, right? They look at Gustafsson right now. Like, he's I mean, he's lost a couple now, so it's difficult. A little bit of different circumstance, but you kind of see what I'm saying. Like, Rich Franklin zone, he's lost the title shot. So.
Well, that's the problem with the middleweight division. Because Romero popped hot, it threw everything up, and I think that's the reason why the rematch is being made, because Romero popped hot. If Romero hadn't got popped, they would have thrown him in, because they needed to, obviously, Romero's only got so long, because he's only he's 38, I think, so they know they can't, delay his chance at a title shot. You've got, like you say, Belfort. I think he'll just get absolutely cremated by Rockhold, simply because it's not the same Belfort anymore.
Nope. Yeah.
Jacare, I would like to have seen that, but the problem was he lost to Romero. It was an absolute stinker of a fight. I had that fight down for probably being one of the best fights of the year. It was an absolute stinker. I think everyone was gutted when that. Everyone was probably sitting there going, "Is this really happening?" But they just. It is the top 5 in the middleweight division's a bit stuck. Tim Kennedy's off to go and serve for the US forces. And you're like, do you know what? I wouldn't mind Tim Kennedy coming back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd love to see Kennedy, get a marquee fight there, and it's the division, like you said, it's kind of going through a transition period right now. And then you've got these fringe guys like like Bisping and Silva, and there's a lot. I mean, who knows? There's lots of stuff that could happen as in the next year. I mean, things can always change. Just look at last year. The champions at the beginning of the year to the end of the year. I mean, obviously anything can happen in MMA, as they say. So.
Oh, it's crazy, friend. It's crazy. Main event though. Do you know what? I'm picking Thompson in this fight, even though Hendricks' conditioning is very good with the help of nutrition. I'm picking Thompson. The reason why I'm picking Thompson for this main event is the fact that it's a big cage. Now, Hendricks is the wrestler. He likes to close him. He'll want to close Thompson down, but Thompson has that space to move around in that he needs with his style of fighting. I think it favours Thompson being in a big cage more than it does Hendricks.
Yeah, this is such a tough fight to call.
Yeah.
That is certainly something that could happen. I mean, I could see. I mean, I'm kind of just thinking of this fight, how it could kind of unfold. I mean, there's definitely a scenario where Hendricks could struggle with the kicks, could struggle with the height and reach, and Thompson being able to just kind of pick his shots and kind of go at will. The reason I favor Hendricks, though, I mean, you've got the 5-round championship experience already. You've got the higher level of competition. I mean, it's easy to look good against Jake Ellenberger, but Ellenberger's probably not going to be on the UFC roster anytime soon. Depending on what they decide to do with him. And Thompson's been fairly inactive with injuries and things along those lines. Hendricks has been far more active. So I think what Hendricks can do is kind of get within range, use his wrestling, maybe do some ground and pound if he's able to get it to the ground, or just kind of just basically do what he did in the Matt Brown fight, which is neutralize his stand-up.
Yeah.
And, I look at the fact that, Hendricks is, lighter. I mean, I think we're going to see a much better fighter than even we saw in the Robbie Lawler and George St. Pierre fights. I mean, if he's not doing extreme weight cutting, that will play a big difference here in the matchup. So that's something to consider. But man, it's a tough fight to call. I think Hendricks wins a decision, but this could be Stephen Thompson's coming out party. Because again, it's one of those situations where is Thompson really that good, or is it just the fact he's been fighting competition that he should be beating? It's difficult because Hendricks just fought the gauntlet, right? So.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing with the welterweight division. Me and Mike sit there and we go through the division sometimes, and you think the welterweight division, it just doesn't. When you get to the top 10, even the top 15, to be fair, it doesn't get easy. There's no, I won't fight him, but I'll fight him. Each fight has got its own horrible kind of answer. You think, there's Hector Lombard. Oh, I won't fight him. I'll go for Damian. No, I won't fight Damian Maia. No, I'll go with. And he just there's no easy name.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, especially now you're getting unless you're what's his name, Neil Magny, and then you've kind of had just and nothing against him at all. I just think it's it's kind of had some opponents that have kind of been a bit favorable towards him. But I think you're right. In general, you're going to fight killers the more you move up. So it's not easy for anyone. I like this fight because. Let's say Hendricks does go out there and win a decision, we're going to know a lot about Stephen Thompson regardless. So, and if Thompson wins, then, hey, you've got a new star at 170 and, just really open the division wide up. So we'll see what's happening. I'm glad, though, that, Hendricks is light in weight. I think what Lou's doing is great. You and I both have spoken to him. He's, seems to have a good philosophy. I like the fact that he's, doing the weight management thing and not the extreme weight cutting thing, which is what Mike Dolce was doing. So, and we're seeing a lot of changes in weight classes and things like that as far as, other commissions. And I think they're getting away from these extreme weight cuts. And I think that we're going to see a better athlete in the cage when that happens.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. We will see better athletes and we'll see them perform better because they're not having to try and rehydrate in that short period of time, which they just could never do. And they do flag off in the latter rounds. I think Hendricks, like you said, if he can do what he did against Matt Brown, which was go back to the old school Johnny Hendricks, because he started to use his hands too much and stay up on the feet too more. And I was like, look, you're great at wrestling. Just do what's great. And if you want to strike every now and then, that's fine. But he, like in the Robbie Lawler fight, I just could not get my head. He just constantly wanted to stand up, and I thought, I know Robbie's got a good. Robbie's got a good takedown defense. Don't get me wrong, but you should be trying every round. You should be trying to get him down and use your wrestling all the time. And he did. He went back to it against Matt Brown, which was the best thing he's done. And he might do it again now. He might have realised that.
Yeah, and something I thought, I don't know if you caught the countdown show or whatever, the Road to the Octagon or whatever they call it. I always get confused with what it is these days. But Hendricks made the good comparison, from this fight to the Carlos Condit fight, and that's a fight we often forget about. But that was, Condit, similar build, also likes using the leg kicks. Hendricks was able to neutralize him. So that's another fight where I think kind of plays more to what if Johnny's going to win this fight, that might be the route he goes. So we'll see. But great fight. I know people were disappointed, obviously, that the heavyweight title fight got taken off. But man, I was a big fan of this fight the second it was announced. Yeah,
I was too. I kind of looked past the main event as well. I thought, well, partly because it was a rematch. I kind of thought.
I didn't like that rematch. Again, same thing. Velasquez, I know he reigned the division forever, but he got dominated in that fight. Do I want to see the rematch? No. You go back and you readjust. I brought up. I actually had a tweet when that fight was announced. If you remember, years and years and years ago, when St. Pierre got upset by Matt Serra, he had to fight Josh Koscheck after the fight. He didn't get an immediate rematch. So, we have seen cases where it's beneficial, and I think looks now like Stipe is actually getting the fight with Verdum, which is the right call in my opinion.
I agree completely. I wanted that fight anyway. When they did the rematch, I don't get it. I thought he got completely outclassed. It wasn't like it was a bit of a close one. It's not even close. That fight reminded me of when Verdum fought Travis Brown. When that fight happened, I went, oh, Travis Brown, he's a monster. And then you just saw Travis Brown get mauled by Verdum. And that fight for me, I kind of went, yeah, Verdum is beyond legit now. Verdum's got everything going for him, and he did exactly what he did to Travis Brown, but to Cain Velasquez, it was just a mauling.
Yeah, Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if, just kind of on that note, don't mean to switch topics here, but I wonder if, it sounds like they're going to announce that in the next little bit. It sounds like UFC 198, I think, is in Brazil. That card with Jacare and
Vitor Belfort.
I think that's the card. I think that's going to be the main event. So if that's the case, Stipe's got to go down to Brazil again and fight. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, that would be actually. Yeah, do you know what? I look forward to it. Stipe's done. Do you know what? He had that match against Junior Santos that he lost the decision. But to be fair, no one lost. Yeah, exactly. No one really lost in that fight. I think the person who lost in that fight was Junior Santos because that dude is not the same since his fights with Kane and that fight with Miocic. He is not the same guy anymore.
No, and that to me, like, I still can't get over that Overeem knocked him out. Like, I mean, obviously, like you said, a lot's been taken out of Junior Dos Santos, but I didn't know he was that done. And again, not taking anything away from Overeem, but I mean, that when that fight was made years ago, I don't think most people figured that Overeem was going to get knocked out in that fight. So it's especially remember when he lost to Brown and to Rothwell. Yeah. It looked like Overeem was going to be out of the UFC, and here he is. Again on the cusp of a title shot. So it's just, I mean, we see that fans love these all out wars, but it takes years off your life. Just look at Diego Sanchez.
Oh yeah, and he's going back to 155 as well because it just didn't. The 145 wasn't for him. Yeah, exactly, and then again, like look at the blueprint. Name me a fighter who's older, who's gone down a weight class and has been successful. Like you can't find any really. No. Like unless you're going like maybe heavyweight to light heavyweight or something, but it never works out. If anything, these guys move up and find more success. Like Ed Herman, when he knocked out Boach. I mean, some of these guys just. They're starting to see that maybe it is better not to get so dehydrated and be more susceptible to the knockout. I'd tell you one person who's probably wanting to go. He'll probably go back to heavyweight. Maybe is Daniel Cormier because John Jones is coming to get his belt back in April. Yeah, that's a good point. I actually said if Rumble would have lost last week, he might have entertained heavyweight as well too, because then that's 2 failed bids of the title. But Cormier, I had. Well, unless he just says, "Hey, I'm done. I've kind of done what I ever," because he's up there. A lot of people forget that Cormier is close to his 40s. So, he was kind of a late bloomer in the sport. So, but I mean, I'd love for him to go up to heavyweight and get revenge. And poor Kane's. Kane might be done. I mean, for all we know, that's a lot of injuries in the last couple of years. And it's back surgery he had done as well, and you think to yourself, TOT's was plagued with that. The vertebrae getting all done in his neck, and he's never been the same since. And you got to think to yourself, we've already seen it with someone else. I don't know how a heavyweight is going to handle it. Yeah, it's and really, I mean, if you look at Kane's build, I mean, he could almost be a light heavyweight as far because he's got a bit of extra skin on there, and he's not a tall heavyweight. No. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if he could go down to 205, but you're right, a little bit concerning. And Tito's the perfect example because he's never been the same. I even think like. When he came back to the UFC, when he fought Forrest Griffin, like I think even then he wasn't good. Like it's just years and years of punishment with wrestling and all that. And he's had a couple nice moments, the submission over Bader, the win over Slamenko, but he's never been like a high level guy that you saw when he first started out. So it's damage; it accumulates. It does, mate. It does big time. And I don't wish it upon Kane, but I care about he's done enough. Kane has done enough to establish himself. And I'm sure he's made enough money, and he should be. I would like him to be honest with himself this year. See how his body is, because if he goes. Daniel Cormier probably will jump back up at. He'll jump back up at a heartbeat to go up at heavyweight and fight a couple of times, because he'll have a stab at that title for sure. Yeah, I agree. It's I think as far as that division goes. It's Werdum's right now, and then from there, it's kind of anyone's. I mean, at some point, Werdum's going to have to call it quits because he's also getting up there in age. So it's interesting. Kind of see how this will unfold in the next little bit. We might see John Jones actually go to heavyweight as well. You never know. That's true. Probably actually will see him go to heavyweight, and he looks a monster at the moment. He's an absolute scary man. Yeah, and to think, he supposedly didn't train that much and everything else. Like, it's tough to say. So. It is, my friend. Look, James, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to thank you for your time, firstly. But before you shoot off, give everyone a little mention of your social media stuff so they can jump on. Not just your personal one, but the sites that you do the work for and stuff as well. I will, but
first I got to thank you for having me on the show. This is a lot of fun. I'd love to do it again. And like I said, I'm getting you on my show quite soon. We'll figure out time and dates and all that stuff, because certainly a big fan of what you guys are doing. Your audience can follow me on Twitter. That's the best way to get a hold of me, at Lynch on Sports. That's LYNCH on Sports, all one word. You can check out my work on MMAOddsBreaker.com as well as Sportsnet.ca. And you can always check out my video interviews that I do, YouTube.com/Lynch on Sports. John, I really appreciate the time.
No, honestly, James, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, my friend. Honestly, I've really enjoyed this, and I really cannot wait to have you back on again. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, jump on his social media stuff. I already follow him anyway, so I can't do that again. But I subscribe to his YouTube channel as well, on my personal YouTube stuff as well. So look, jump on. I can vouch for him. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's got some good work out there. He's got some good stuff you can jump onto to follow. And James, look, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the fights. And I will speak to you on social media anyway.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate it.
Okay, the 4th of March, Titan FC are back. Brett Johns, you are trying to claim back the title, let's say. I say claim it back. You never lost it, but it's almost like a John Jones situation where you have to fight for it again. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward one. Like, and the stupid thing is, this isn't the first time, which is something I don't know. I don't think I enjoy doing it, but my body seems to enjoy doing it. But yeah, it's a bit of an awkward situation to be.
I gotta admit, you've got a tough opponent now, Brett. Like Ricky's.
Oh, definitely. You know, this kid, Ricky Simons is he's special, you know, and he's a good guy. And but then again, you know, they are the fights I want. You know, why should I be fighting guys I know I can beat? You know, as a world champion, I want to fight the best guys out there.
I tell you what, he put a hell of a performance though against Alex Soto. I was really impressed with the way he went there in that fight against Alex Soto. You know, you think you had Alex Soto, ex-UFC guy. You know, Ricky was. You know, he's an unbeaten prospect. He was. You know, that was his first real test. I was mightily impressed with how he did in that bout.
Yeah, you know, Alex Soto. You know, like I say, he is that UFC vet, and Ricky seems similar to me. You know, he wants to get them big names on his record now. He's got a good record coming up. He's 8-0 or 9. I'm not saying he's 8 or 9-0. You know, and he looks good. You know, I'm watching his fights and stuff, and we're keeping a good track on him. And yes, it's a cracking fight. It's a hard fight, and that's what I want. You know, and I'm sure he's in his camp over there now, and he's thinking exactly the same. You know, gives him a good gym, the respected gym out there, and. Yeah. You know, there's no bad blood to this one. It's a bit different between me and Gutierrez. You know, there's a little bit of trash talk, but this time, you know, it's just I can see it just being a bit of a quiet one, but it's going to be a barn burner, I think, if I'm honest. You know. Yeah,
I tell you what, I like the Gutierrez would do the smack talk. It helps sell a fight, and do you know what? It was a bit humorous. I have to admit, I believe they've said he's going to be on the card. I'd like to see him matched up against Wally Watson. They did talk about doing the rematch and all that stuff. I'd like to see it happen again, only because there is, you know, I think it would be an interesting bout because, like we said, Anthony did clip Wally, but then he fell into those gangly long legs and just got wrapped up like a nice little hug and then got tapped out. So I would like to see that fight on the card. You know, separate matter, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, to be honest, like I know that the Gutierrez is on the undercard. I'm not sure particularly who he's fighting yet. You know, I haven't heard nothing. Maybe it might be that Andrew Yates fight or whatever, but you know, Gutierrez would obviously, if he fought Wiley, he'd obviously have the stand-up advantage. But in the same breath, you've got Watson who will favour in the grappling department. And if I'm honest, both guys are good in that weight. Both guys are very good and in their own little respected thing, you know. Now Simons, on the other hand, Ricky Simons is different again. He seems to have every sort of region covered, you know. I think with Gutierrez and Watson, they kind of, you know, I wouldn't say, you know, they're not bad in these aspects, but they lack in the wrestling, you know.
Yeah.
And Simons doesn't, you know. I think he is an NCAA wrestler, so that's the next test for me. I think, you know, I fought the guys who hit hard, I fought the grapplers, I fought the strikers. Now let's go out there and fight someone who's similar to me.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, the wrestling grappling that he had against Alex Soto, you could see how, you know, he he had a very strong grappling base, and he was very controlling, and like I spoke to him, and he said that in that fight he had a couple of chances that he could have probably finished it early, but it was good to get the timing under his belt, because he's stepping up now to a potential 5-round fight, and
definitely it's a different ball game. 5 rounds, you know. I went through my career doing 3 rounds, and it was tough, you know. My first ever 5-5 fight, I had I was one of the lucky ones who had to fight 3 fights before it, you know. And the first time I ever gassed out in a fight was my 3rd pro fight against a kid called Kyle Prosser, and Kyle on my record. At the minute, he's retired. He finished. He had 2 fights and retired. And the first fight he fought me, and I won by a decision. And the second fight, he was winning until he got cut open. And he was his record on my record stands at 0-2. But to this day, he's one of the toughest guys I've ever fought. And like I said, you know, sometimes the record doesn't speak much. But anyway, he took me in dark waters in a 3-round fight. And I remember after the fight saying to my coach, I never ever want to feel like that again. I never ever want to be in a fight. And when you gas, you feel helpless. You feel like as if you can't do what you want to do because of your fitness is holding you back. You know.
I had the same. I had it in an amateur bout. That my first time, I really started to blow out my ass is the best way. My first ever amateur bout. I wouldn't say it's gassed. I had the kind of I had the adrenaline dump. Was what I had.
Yeah.
But the amateur bout, the 2 of us went in, and the pair of us were were kind of on par. That we were going to meet eventually, and it was pretty non-stop. And I remember because I kept taking him down. That's I think what. And the thing was where we were, it was like there was no fucking air. It felt like the air had been sucked out the building. I literally remember. Did I submit him? I did submit him, didn't I? What did I submit? Oh, I submitted him with a head and arm choke. That was it. And I remember I was absolutely at the end of I got a tap, and then I just lay on him. I lay on him, and I was like pretending to give him a hug, but in reality I was like I can't get up right now. I can't.
Yeah. Did you ask him to stay there as well? So for 5 more minutes.
Oh, I wanted to just say just lie down, and we got up. I got my ass up somehow. The referee lifted my arm up, and I was like, and it flopped back down, and I ended up giving him another hug just to keep me standing up, and then walked out the cage, and I literally I couldn't run, but I literally just walked to the nearest window and threw my head out. I was like, I need oxygen. And my coach is trying to congratulate me, and I just couldn't even. I didn't even have the capacity to talk. I just had to breathe.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
You're so tired you couldn't even take the praise on board.
I didn't even know what... I don't even remember what anyone said. All I remember was hugging him after, and then walking straight to a window. Don't remember any word that was said. You know, they could have said, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Well, to be fair, they probably did comment on how awesome my escape from the armbar was, but, you know, whatever. It was pretty sweet. I watched it back and I went, yeah, that was pretty sweet, actually. I was pretty made up with that. And... but anyway, so that's the thing. It's that Ricky Simone might have his first experience of like that deep waters when, say, it gets to the 4th round or 5th round. Yeah, that's when.
I found that. If I'm honest, I found that out with Gutierrez. You know, rounds 1, 2, and 3. He's very strong, very fit, and then if I'm honest, I don't know what it was. There's a lot of factors from the last fight, whether it was the weight cut, or whether it was the injury, or whether I just wasn't fit enough, or the altitude, or just the general place. But rounds 1 and 2, I was fine. I was myself. Round 3, just horrifically gassed out, and I'm not sure people would agree if they've seen it, but I felt like I was really tired. And then I was like, why am I like this? You know, I'm a very fit guy, and then rounds 4 and 5, I kind of come back. But I was very lucky that, well, I say very lucky, but in rounds 4 and 5, Gutierrez was a little bit tired, and I felt like the rounds 4 and 5 was when I, come out of my shell a bit more and just kind of took them rounds, you know?
That's sometimes you hit a wall. I find it when I do when I go out running. If I do runs and stuff, I find I hit my wall really early on. It's really weird. Like maybe the first 1,000 meters. That's when I hit my wall. It sounds weird. I go out for a jog and I'm suddenly doing within 1,000 meters. I'm like, oh God, don't know if I can do any more. I absolutely feel wrecked. But if I keep going, I push through it. I can just keep going after that. It's I think everyone gets that kind of, their body hits a wall. It's like a mental wall, and then they just have to push through it when they do. Everything's fine. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a scientist, but I found that myself as well.
Yeah, I was first of all, it freaked me out a bit because it's never happened before.
Mm.
And I didn't. If obviously I didn't like it. You know, I've never usually like that. If you take my fights with Brum and Desborough, I felt my fitness are absolutely fine. But then you put me that one fight there. There's just one round. It was just that one round where I felt tired. You know.
Well,
I had a nice comment from LC Davis as well on Twitter because of LC Davis was watching the fight, and after the fight I had the privilege to meet him because, you know, not many people in the game know LC Davis, but like, you know, when it comes to MMA,
yeah, he's in Bellator, yeah, he's a good fighter.
Yeah, no, I'm an absolute geek when it comes to knowing fighters. So I was like, oh my god, that's LC Davis, you know. And he's just come off that big win against that Japanese fighter, the one where like he basically broke his jaw or something. It was an absolute scrap on Bellator. And I said, oh my god, LC Davis, you know, big fan, blah blah blah. So we started talking. And then like he left. We only talked for about 2 or 3 minutes. And he left. And I go on Twitter and I look at it. Like I seen capital letters at LC Davis. John's fat ass is fading. So I was like, oh, nice. You know what I mean? I didn't expect that, you know. But he was a nice guy face to face. If I'm honest, it's just that's just him, innit? You know what I mean? That's just LC for you, innit?
Oh, do you know what? You might have a fat ass. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I might do.
You know, more
maybe
junk
I should go
in the
wake
trunk.
up my ass next time.
Yeah, there's more junk in the trunk. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because you know, that's one thing. If it was me fighting Ricky Simone, I would look to that would be part of my personal game plan. I would think, right, he's not been taken in deep waters before. I'm going to keep a pace for 5 rounds that I know I can keep. Like, almost like a Michael Bisping-esque, earlier Michael Bisping. I don't think Michael Bisping can't do what he used to do now, but yeah, he used to back then, but keep that nice 70%, 75% just constant pressure. And my goal would be to try and get him to fade off in those latter rounds and then just start to keep that pace which he can't keep up with. That would be if I was to fight an opponent, that's what my kind of mindset would be. Obviously, you'd like to go in there, knock him out in the first punch, and that'd be it.
Oh, of course, yeah. You know, that's number one, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
You know, everybody will beg for that. Like that McGregor fight, 30 seconds KO, but you know, it doesn't always happen, as you might see, like, you know, and it's gonna be a tough fight. I know it's gonna be a tough fight, you know, and I am basically every fight I have, you know, we're fighting for world titles in this game now. You know, they're not gonna be easy fights. You know, it's gone from these days where you watch people fight in cans. It doesn't happen at this level, and if I'm honest, I'm really looking forward to it. You know, he's gonna bring the best out of me, and people. If I'm honest, I see it being a tougher fight than Gutierrez and Watson. I really do. But like, toughness is one of my favourite tributes to the show. You know, if anybody's going to take Ricky Simons into deep waters, it's going to be me. It's going to be someone who can go that distance, and I can't go the distance. You know, the only way he's going to be able to not take it, I'm not going to be able to take the distance, is if he stops me before then. You know, or I stop him before then. That's the only reason why. That's the only reason, really. It won't go to deep waters. But you know, like I said, I'm a confident guy. I'm confident in my team. You know, I'm sure he's confident in his team. I'm confident in my team. And basically, it's just may the best man win, really, innit? You know what I mean? I'm not going to talk my smack talk. If anything, I think he's a really good fighter and that. But I feel like I'm the next. I feel like I'm the next generation. I'm you know, if I'm honest, I think we both are the next generation. You know, me and Ricky are the next generation. But I put a lot of effort into getting where I am, you know, for a long time, and I just feel like that's going to be the difference, really.
I was going to say, I think that's the pair of you both are on that next generation. The thing is, you're coming up together, so you're crossing paths earlier on in your career, maybe than you might have done if you were on different promotions. You might have met later on at the UFC, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Will you be looking to go over a little bit earlier this time, just to help yourself settle in with obviously the time zone difference, to help get yourself settled for the weight cutting, etc. and stuff like that?
Yeah, it is an option. It's just as you know, John, it's not really the best paying sport, and unfortunately, I don't have much money to do that. You know,
right, yeah.
You know, money is a big issue. Well, I say issue. It's not a big issue. That's not what I mean. It's
Well, it makes a difference. It makes a difference in this side of things.
It does make the difference.
Yeah, it makes a difference in your prep.
Yeah, and I feel like if I did have the money, I'd be able to go out there a couple of days. I'd bring someone with me. I'd go out and, do you know what I mean? I do that stuff, and unfortunately, money is a big issue, and you know, unless you get to the high payers, then it's not going to change. You know, unfortunately. I've got a team to kind of look after as well. I got my management and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And them guys are great. They do everything they can for me. But still, you know, unless you're gonna get a sponsor like Monster Energy or Red Bull, they're gonna pay you. You know, look, here's 30k, and we'll give you all these kit. Then you're gonna be okay to do that. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things you gotta consider. Even with the UFC, there's fighters still who have that issue where they go to like GoFundMe or whatever to help get coaches to come over with them, because the UFC only pay, I think, UFC will pay for the fighter and the one coach.
Yeah, they do that for me as well. Yeah, fighter and the coach.
So it is one of them things where you've got to be. It does make a difference, like you're saying, and I'm sure, obviously, if you did go over early, there would be gyms around there that would be more than accommodating for you to help you out.
Oh, definitely. If I'm honest though, Gehrts gym, Glory Kickboxing in Kansas, they actually let us come over for one sessions to do whatever we wanted to do, and you know, there was interviews there, and that was really cool. It was nice to step in another gym, because believe it or not, I don't take a step in many gyms. The only gym I step into is my one in Forest Park with Chris in Swansea, and the one in my hometown in Pontypridd, my father, and then the only two gyms I go to. So it's nice to go to different gyms and see different people, and it was mental, because like I'm looking over and Zach Cummings is there, and I'm like, wow, that guy was fighting Gunnar Nelson in UFC Dublin. And then I look over and James Krause is there, I'm like, wow, that guy fought Sam Stout. And you know, like I said, the MMA geek of me, the MMA geek in me then come out, and I'm like, wow, these guys are big deals. But like, then again, you know, I was in Amsterdam a few weeks ago, and we passed this bar, or I don't know if it was a bar, it was more like a restaurant-y, cafe sort of bar thing, and on TV was Tough, was Ultimate Fighter, and guess what Ultimate Fighter was on?
Anthony Gutierrez one.
Is the one with the Gutierrez one. So my girlfriend's like, oh, she's looking at the menu, she's like, oh, I don't really fancy nothing here, and I just want to go, no, we'll go in here, it'll be fine. They're probably serving like, I don't know, dog or something, but I'm like, yeah, no, we'll go on this one, this will be fine. And I'm trying to wait there to watch, and the guy's coming out, and he's like, you know, man, come in here, we'll make you a good deal. I said, I'm just watching the fights here, you know. I'm just desperate to tell someone. When he comes on, I'll be like, look at my missus, and I'll go, beat him. You know. But yeah, you know, that's mental. Like, you know, just walking into a restaurant or a bar in Holland, and there's UFC on, like, you know, and I'm thinking, I beat the guy from that show, you know, and you know, am I that far away, really? You know, and that's what I feel like. And there's so many groups at the minute, like different sort of news or MMA news groups, and they're all saying like, oh, look, John's is touted for the UFC, and this guy's touted for the UFC. But you know, until I really get there, I'm not gonna get my hopes up or nothing like that. You know.
Well, I spoke to Andre Harrison about that. We had a conversation where I was saying, look, you're undefeated to Andre Harrison. I say, you know, if you look at the guys you just recently beat, you've got Cody Bollinger, Kurt Hollablog, and Desmond Green. I said, these are a list of guys who have got really good credentials to their names, and you know, and he take his next fight is Steven Seiler. You know, that's a hell of a bout on that card. Like, so if he was to take down Steven Seiler, you know, it would be really confusing as to how you wouldn't then get into the UFC, because you're pretty much beating a quite high kind of class of guys outside of the UFC. Like, who else? There's not many other places to go. Like, unless he were to get signed to somewhere like Bellator and fight someone in there, I don't know where else he can go, what else he can do, really. Like, who else is Titan going to bring in for him?
Yeah, definitely, and like all them guys you named there, I can name what they've done, where they've been, you know what I mean? And it's like, them guys he's fighting there, and that's what I'm missing out, but in all fairness though, in Andre's last couple of guys he's fought, there's not that dangerous up and coming guy.
No, he needs finishes. He does, and I think he knows that as well. He knows he needs to get some finishes in, because before his run in Titan FC, he did have finishes. He had I think he had 2 finishes in a row or something like that. And since he's been in Titan, every fight he's had, he's won. And fair enough, they're all decisions. But I think, like you say, he probably needs to go into with this fight with Steven Siler and put him away. The problem is, Steven Siler is a tough son of a bitch.
I was just going to say, that's the fight. He's probably one of the hardest to finish out of everybody there.
yeah. So I feel a bit bad for him. 'Cause I'm like, this is, if you could finish him, it'd be awesome. But it's a hard fight to finish. Because Steven Siler, if he finishes Steven Siler, I'm not being funny, that would be huge if he did that.
Yeah, I was watching a few years ago when Desmond fought Siler. I think was that for the belt?
That was for the belt on Titan, yeah.
Well, that's the one that I watched, and I know that Siler has actually tried to cut the 135 before as well.
It's too much for him.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you've spoken to him about it, but I think he cut before the 140. I think that he only got to 140, and sometimes people think, oh, can we go that light the category, and they try it out and they can't do it, and it's understandable, but potentially I like that fight. I like the Steven Siler fight.
Yeah,
that's a fight that I generally do like. So depending on what happens over the next few months, maybe potentially that might be a fight I'd like, and only because of the car. Like I said, it's not. I'm not this Conor McGregor-esque person. I'm not calling people out, but when I look at the roster of people, I just think his name would look good in the record.
Yeah.
Ricky Simon's name would look good in the record for an up and coming athlete.
He's unbeaten as well, so give him his first loss. That's a good thing to have.
Yeah, and then I look at Steven Siler. Steven Siler's a vet.
Yeah.
He knocked on Mike Brown, and that says it all. Mike Brown was a WEC featherweight champion.
Yeah, legend. I met. In fact, I don't know if I told you already, but did I tell you about how I met him? I can't remember, but I met him up at UFC Glasgow. He was cornering Robert Whiteford. And I was like, fucking hell, I was like, there's Mike Brown. So I went over, I said, Mike, if you've got a minute, I'd love to get a picture with you. And obviously Brad Pickett was over there as well as a guest speaker, but he's obviously he knows all the ATT boys. And I know about Brad Pickett's shenanigans that he gets up to. He's a right little fucker for it. But we stood there, and I'm like, about to get a picture with Mike Brown, and he pulls down my shorts in the middle of the hotel lobby. We're in the posh hotel, like Radisson or whatever, full of fighters and people. I'm stood there with Mike Brown about to get a picture taken, and Brad Pickett, Mike obviously was co-host. He stood there with the camera about to take camera. He turns the camera downwards, towards my crotch areas, and I'm thinking, what are you messing around with? And also my shorts come down. I'm like, you son of a bitch. I was like, I should have known. I can't believe I forgot that Brad Pickett's around. He does it to everyone. It's something he just does. He just pulls people's pants down and stuff. He's such a jokester. I was just...
them two guys have been friends for a long time as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
Him and Mike.
Yeah, so I'm still with Mike Brown with my pants around my ankles. What a great memory and a great moment to share.
You'll take that out of the grave with you.
Yeah, exactly. I met a legend with my pants down. Wonderful.
Like I said, though, it's to have someone at that caliber, like Steven Siler's caliber, it'll be good. Obviously, I know you won't probably cut the 135, but depending on how I feel where I am in my career, that might be a fight I'd like, because they're good guys. They shouldn't be annoyed that I want to fight them. They should be quite happy about it. Like, oh look, you know, he thinks I got a good record and he wants to fight me. So it was the same thing with Watson, really. You know, it was a fight that I wanted.
Yeah.
After the Brum fight, I did say I wanted to fight UFC veterans.
Yeah.
When Cage Warriors come to town, they said they wanted to sign Jens Pulver.
Yes.
Well, that was a fight that I wanted, and you can ask, you know, Ian Dean was the guy matching up, and I'm like, Ian, what have I got to do to fight Jens Pulver? And he's like, no, that fight's not for you, you know. And I wanted to fight. I wanted to test these things, you know. You know, like on your record, you got Jens Pulver on your record. And no matter what his record is, but
Jens Pulver?
people know Jens for what he's done.
Yeah, he's a legend. And do you know what? He was really. I quite enjoy his commentary. You know, he was on. He did the commentary on Cage Warriors a couple of times. He joined Brad and Josh, and I quite enjoyed his commentary on there. Yeah, no,
he was good, you know, and it was a bit thing then. About 3 months after or 4 months after I won that fight, I signed with Sucker Punch, which is Jens Pulver's. He's good friends with Brian Butler, which is my manager, you know. So that was a bit freaky, but that happened. But you know, I'm the guy. You know, I want to fight the good guys out there. And when I won my world title with Cage Warriors with Brum, it was I wanted to fight the best out there, and I looked at the top of the list of 135, and at the time it was either James Pent and the guy who pulled out the tournament. There was either Ronnie Mann or there was either James Brum. So I looked at the records. I think Ronnie Mann was like 1 or 2 and 0. And then like I looked at James Brum, who was like 8-7, 8-0 with the promotion. Well, obviously he's the number one contender.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not going to cheat nobody out. And that was a hard fight to take. You know, it was realistically we were the underdogs going into the fight, and you know, I just wanted to prove people wrong, which I thought I did. You know.
Yeah, he's recently signed with On Top Management. The James Lake, who looks after Stevie Ray and Joe Coldwood and all that, he's just signed up with them.
Who has?
James Brum.
Oh, I thought he was at Sucker Punch. I thought he was.
Nah, he's just signed with. Well, I don't know if he's agreed to leave them because it was recently announced that he's signed with On Top Management.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
well, there you are.
Yeah, so he's moved. So things are going to be moving around. I think he's been up to Thailand. I think been doing a lot of training at Thailand recently. I think.
Yeah, I did see some stuff. You know, he gets around a lot. Of fairness to him, James. You probably he's training in America. He's training in Thailand, and I'm here stuck in sunny Swansea. You know.
Sunny Swansea, beautiful, isn't it? Lucky man, eh?
Yeah, lucky man with the lucky weather, with the lucky rain, you know.
It makes us tougher. That's what I tell people. It embeds a will inside of us that people don't get. People who train like in sunny in like California in the sunshine all the time, they're weak. They're weak.
Yeah. I love it when I'm running. I'm going running. I put my headphones in and I'm running through the rain, and some music comes on, and I just picture myself in a music video. I just go for miles then, you know.
Yeah, I do the same. I feel like I suddenly turn into like a movie scene, and I'm like, it's like start.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm a proper actor. I feel like there's hidden cameras everywhere, and I'm running through the rain.
I do the same. I'm like throwing punches while I'm trying to run and look like an idiot.
And then people are looking at me as if to say he's escaped from the mental asylum, just running through in a pair of shorts, like.
Yeah, people know me around here, so they just go, "Oh, it's just him being it's just John. He's just an asshole. Don't worry about it."
yeah, like it's like the local nutter.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're just used to me.
It's like me in Swansea and you over with you.
I walk around in shorts all year round, whether it's sun, rain, hail, snow, whatever. And honestly,
I think that's frowned upon now, though, isn't it?
Mate, honestly, I get it all the time, mate. I walk around in my shorts all the time. I love wearing my shorts, and people just look at me going. Honestly, I had a woman the other day I was walking through to the shop through a car park. Woman's like, "You're nuts, you are." And I was like, "Why? You got your shorts on?" I was like, "Nah, it's fine." And she's like, "It's not. It's freezing." I'm like, "Nah, it's fine." Just walking on, and like I get it all the time. Just people look at me going, "How can you wear them?" I'm like, "But they're really comfy."
That's the thing. It's comfy, and I like showing the bottom of my pale legs.
Yeah, my beautiful pale calves are something that need to be shared with the world, I feel.
Yeah. This is basically I'm gonna put my calves are so white. I'm like, you've seen me fight, John. I'm like a blank white piece of paper.
Yeah, we are. We're white and proud, mate. That's what it is. White is paint, like white magnolia.
I know. I literally stand too close to the radiator and I burn.
Yeah.
You know, so I gotta be careful really. And I remember Lanzarote this year. and like I'm wearing a pair of MMA shorts. I'm one of them muppets, you know the guys who walk around in MMA shorts and they usually get abused. We call them down here tapo wankers because usually it's the tapo guys. Well, basically that's me in holidays.
Yeah.
So I literally go in. I walk into the pool and I'm wearing a pair of like MMA shorts. I got noticed this time. That was quite cool. Some guy from Birmingham that I met out there, and he knew who I was on the local scene. So that was quite cool. But yeah.
Oh, Brett, the thing is though, MMA shorts, they're really comfy.
Yeah, I think that as well. Like, obviously, you can't just walk around a pair of Valley Tudors in your local town, like, you know.
Well, you can.
Yeah, you can't. I think you might get arrested for it though. Or a pair of Dennis Holman Speedos.
You could lie and say, "Look, I've lost my bicycle. I put it down somewhere. I can't find it. That's why I'm wearing these."
Yeah, no, I think with my ones then there must be a height restriction on the shorts. Then it has to be.
Do you know what? MMA shorts are super comfy. I love wearing my MMA shorts. I've got, obviously they're not tap out ones. So, well, I've got one pair of tap out ones which I wear. The rest of them, I've got some old school sprawl ones which are just deadly and are just super comfy to wear. I love it.
I talked about the tap out there. I remember before, like, basically I'm with my girlfriend, and every time I pass, like, basically it's like guys who I don't mind if you come to training in tap out, it doesn't really bother me, okay, but it's when the guys who don't do MMA and they're wearing tap out and they think they're the MMA fighters of the world.
Yeah.
And basically I'll judge them all. You know, like I'll drive past my girlfriend and I'll go, look at him over there. And she'll go, oh, stop being a bully. I said, no, look at him over there. He's wearing his tap out stuff. He's walking as if he's got carrying 2 televisions underneath his arm.
Yeah.
And I'm going, look at him, man. I'm trying to judge him. And then I realise then I look back on a few display photos on Facebook and I'm there in all my tap out gear, and then I quickly shut up.
I kind of do the same as well. I won't lie. I walk through town and I'll see someone. I'm like, you wouldn't even know what to do if I shot in right now for a double leg. You
yeah.
Know.
And then I get that thing, and like whenever I go on my Facebook and I pass that photo, my girlfriend just gives me this look as if to say, "Tap a wanker, is it?"
Yeah. I'm like, I feel like saying that. Like, I could tap you out with a head and arm choke in guard. That's how that's how bad you are, mate. That's what I feel like saying to them.
Yeah. So no, it was like I said, you know, it's an awesome. It's awesome just to roll around in MMA shorts, just chilling. You know, that's the dream right there.
It is, mate. People who don't own them need to buy them and just sit in them and go, actually, these are deadly. They are missing out.
They don't even need to do MMA. They just can't wear tap out.
Yeah, just.
Oh, mind you, I'm giving bad publicity to tap out. No, actually, scrap that. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, there are other brands available, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, there are other brands available.
We're trying like the BBC when they talk about products and brands. You go, there are other brands available. We're trying to be branded.
Yeah. No. Did you watch the Sage North Cup fight in the weekend?
Yeah, I did, mate. I did. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a bit thinking about that. You know.
Well, he came out. He was on the MMA Hour and said that he had a strep throat. And he was on a load of antibiotics, working with WADA to make sure the medication was not going to flag anything up. And yeah, he said that he had basically like a throat infection, and that was all that stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, even still, how are you allowed to compete then if you're like the day before he went to the hospital and got stuff done? And I was like, how are you allowed to step in? Like how?
He's probably jacked up on all these different things. I'm not saying they're illegal, but like you know, he's probably like, you know, you should be. Mind you, I can't say much, but you should be, you know, to discharge the fight. Like, you know, you should be fighting.
He shouldn't.
If you're ill, like, you know,
he shouldn't afford.
Especially he's 19 years old.
Yeah. Like, why he didn't need to fight? He could have just said, no, I'm not well, I've got to go. Considering that his fight got changed to a different weight class because his last opponent got injured. Like, it wouldn't have mattered if he pulled out. It wouldn't have made it wouldn't have been a problem. So
no.
I thought that myself. Thought, dude, you shouldn't have fought. There was no pressure on you to fight. Like, if you stepped out, no one would have cared. Because
two things I will say though, which basically I didn't like obviously the MMA community just basically saying, "Oh look, here's the hype train derailed," and he tapped out quickly, and it was a quick tap. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, look at the pressure on the kid, like, you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, I would say I call it the Dana hype train. I did say the hype train because I call it the Sage, Page, and Ronda hype trains have gone. That's like because Dana put a lot of investment in these three, and then the last one is Conor. Like if Conor would lose against Rafael dos Anjos, like all his little babies effectively have, who he has shown a bit. I would say shown a bit more like not favoritism, but a focus on that has kind of plummeted. With Sage, I think he was pushed way too far, way too fast. Like even and what griped me a bit more was. That was his third fight in like 5 weeks or like 2 weeks it felt like, but in a few months. And there's guys in the UFC who are gagging for a fight, they're dying to get a fight and they can't get one. Yet the UFC are able to match him up pretty quick. That was so that kind of griped me. Those little things gripe me about the whole situation. And he is a kid. That is the thing. It was. I will be honest. I've been putting you've been putting a head and arm choke from half guard. It's not nice, but. It's not the end of the world. He's so lost on his back. And the thing is, he went to TriStar and was there for a few days, and he got pulled out of it by his dad because he was tired. Basically, he was showing signs of being a bit lethargic because he was worked so hard. He's never trained that hard. I'm like, dude, you need to be in there with killers. You need to train with those killers.
Yeah, he's literally relied on just being. Basically a genetic freak,
Yeah, basically, yeah. He has that one first round of pure explosion, and because he's just like you can see it. He's physically ripped. He's got these fast twitch muscle fibers, but then when that first round's gone and you've expelled all that explosive energy, you can't do it as much in the second and the third. And like that's what happened. The second round came. He just couldn't. He just didn't have it in him to get up again.
Like I said, if I'm honest though, anybody could be like that.
Yeah.
And they'd be the same, You react at 110%, then you're gonna have to expect the later rounds to be tough,
He needed to be trained at TriStar the whole time, not pulled out because he got tired. Because you know what, he should have stayed there when he got tired, took a day off, recover a bit more. Yeah. And he needs to literally what happened in that fight needed to happen at TriStar. He needs to get his ass kicked. Every
in TriStar, for sure, definitely. You need to. I totally agree with that. I bet you there's nobody in that gym. I bet his father was there talking him out, but he should have had like John, the score. I get put in Shark Tanks with my amateur team. Like, what Shark Tank would he be in? It doesn't look like he's been in the Shark Tank.
I doubt he has, because the thing was that
he got clipped with an elbow, and he got split open, and then he sees the first sign of blood, and it's like, oh shit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I remember the Shark Tanks I've been in. My coach would say, "Right, I'm going to give you a position to start in each time." So we wouldn't start from the standing. It would be like, "Right, okay, you're going to start. You're going to be on your back." I would always be in a crap position. They'd always be in the dominant position, and then we'd start the Shark Tank every time. So when I'm wrecked and I've went through like nine guys and I'm absolutely hanging out my ass, he would go, right, okay, he's going to be in your side control, go on your back, and you're like, oh, I don't even know if I can move anymore. And it's just, and that's what you need. You need to have literally your own teammates beating the crap out of you. And if he had that TriStar. In that fight, he would have been a lot more composed and a lot more, he would have just been used to it. He'd been like, yeah, I've been here before, this is going to be fine. But it almost felt like that was the first time someone had been beating his ass down in the fight.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm for him and his family and his friends. They've never seen him in that situation. Yeah. Like I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at me and look at Sage. It's nothing like that. But like my last fight, I snapped my hamstring in the fight, and I go out and I win rounds 4 and 5. That just shows that I've been handed my ass whoopings. I've had my fair share of ass whoopings in the gym, and that's the truth. That's true, And for example, I remember before I was with my coach, Chris, doing my Shark Tank, and basically what he does is he goes, "There's 5 fives.
Yeah.
And I have basically a fresh partner me every minute.
Yeah.
And we did round 1, and my coach looked at me and goes, "Oh, how do you feel?" I said, "Yeah, no, I feel fine." We did the first round. Yeah, it was, I was tired, but I wasn't blowing. And he goes, "Oh, good, because I'm cutting your rest time by half as well now. So instead of like having a minute break, it was 30 seconds." And I was like, "Oh, fuck," and you just basically suck in every bit of oxygen you can in. But it's tough, like, and people can't take it away from me that I don't train hard. I train as hard as I can every single day.
That's something, yeah. That it's something that he needs, which comes with the knowledge of being in a good team. That's the problem. He's been, like I say, he was propelled too fast, in my opinion, and I think they should have nurtured him a bit more. I think I think they shouldn't have signed him as quick as well. I think they could have signed him, but kept him on the regional scene, if that made sense. Like I say loan him out. I think they needed to let him get a bit more under his belt experience. But then again, he got propelled too quick. It was going to happen eventually. You saw it in a Fister fight, his holes in his game, and eventually someone was going to be strong enough and more knowledgeable enough to beat him out, and that's what happened in this fight. It was just the guy, like. His opponent, Barbarian, he's a slow start. He's knowing to go, like, come out in the second and third round more, and that's exactly all he did. He weathered the storm in the first, and then just grinded him out. And do you know what? I think it's a great experience for Sage. It's a shit one to have. Don't get me wrong. Everyone would love to go unbeaten forever, but for him, it's a learning curve. Now, he did say he'll be back soon. I was like, I don't want you back soon. I want you to go away and learn.
Yeah. I was like, he'd struggle with the types of guys like Pat Healy. Do you know what I mean?
I thought about that as well. I thought that would just be and it would be shit that, because Pat can take a hit. So like Sage will come and hit him, and Pat will go, "Yep, my turn."
Yeah. Did you see the fight between him and Marcus Edwards? Like, I'm a big fan of Marcus Edwards.
I did.
And I'm really good mates with him and stuff. But Marcus Edwards doesn't hit light. Like, I saw him on the pads in the change room in Kansas, and like, that guy does not hit soft, like,
I saw that fight, I saw it, mate.
Yeah, and like I said, he took the shots in the first round, come back in the second, so, and like I said, and like someone like that against Sage, and I think that blow him out the water,
Well, that's the
thing.
You
can't teach toughness, see?
Yeah, it's like, imagine Khabib. Khabib would just be like a blanket around him. And he just, it would be the same. It would be like just Khabib just grappling and just wearing him out, and that's he needs to literally have a Khabib in his training camp grinding him down all the time.
That can do that to him, yeah. I feel like in Sage Northcutt's camp, it's just the best guy in the gym is Sage Northcutt.
Yeah. That's pretty much probably what it is. And he works specifically on a lot of flashier stuff and explosive stuff, and I'm like, now you need to get down to the gritty stuff. You need to literally, get a guy who's bigger than you, stronger than you, who's going to pin you down and make you work to get on the feet and literally make you fight for your life. That's what you need. You need to have that kind of guy.
Yeah, for sure, definitely,
But then again, hopefully this has probably ignited that knowledgement, and maybe he's sitting there going, yeah, I need to sort this out. I need to go and sort this out. Hopefully. We don't know what's going to happen, but well. Well, we're digressing now onto a completely different fighter and promotion. Let's get back to Titan FC.
We got carried away there.
Yeah. Ricky Simone, 4th of March, 135 strap. I know it's going to be a hell of a scrap, because I know what you're like, and I know from his fight against Alex Soto the potential he's got as well. It's a lovely mixture. It's a lovely kind of competitive battle that's going to go on. Brett, I'm gonna let you shoot off, because I know it's late here in the UK, and even though I know we can talk for a very long time, my friend, how about, buddy, you give out your social media stuff to people before I let you shoot off?
Yeah, I'm at 36 Johns on Twitter. I'm Brett Johns, or Brett Johns MMA Athlete on Facebook, and also Brett Johns MMA on Instagram, man.
Simple as that. On your sponsors, mate?
I want to thank the bridge in a place called Llangenach. The bridge they're great, and they've helped me out a lot. And John has just been absolutely fantastic. And he's been great. Direct choice with Richard Norris, who recently jumped on board as well. And I want to thank them. They helped me out my K1 fight and my up and coming MMA fights. And Booster, best gear out there, and every single piece of technical equipment I fought in has nothing on Booster, you know.
Booster has got some nice gear, nice snazzy stuff. I've never actually owned any Booster stuff yet. It's probably something I might have to look into in the future to try out some of their bits. And what about, obviously, your team, training partners, your missus?
Like the guys in my team, they know. It goes without saying, without my teams, I wouldn't have even won my first world title, you know. And you know, you got Andrew Burt and the Dragon School of Combat with Kyle, my brother, Luke Norman, them guys out there, which have been absolutely fantastic. And also the Chris Reese Academy, and Chris Reese and Ashley Williams, my coaches, my teammates, Ada, Nathan, Scotty, Ben, all the guys really. It goes without saying, them guys will dedicate my life to them guys, and I'm very lucky to have a team to support me and push me in every single way, you know.
Sounds awesome, my man. Brett, thank you very much for speaking with me. Pleasure.
Hey John, thank you very much. Tell Mike he needs to wise up.
Oh, he does, doesn't he? He's a pain in the ass on his short arse.
Yeah.
But
I had some Carl for him as well, but he's not yours, so never mind.
Hey mate, thanks very much for chatting, Brett. Lovely speaking to you, buddy. And look, enjoy the rest of your camp. And 4th of March, let's bring it.
Yeah. Thanks, John, and I'll speak to you soon, mate.
Ricky Simone, 4th of March, Titan FC 37. You have got your chance to get yourself a bit of silverware, nice new belt buckle. You're fighting Brett Johns for the 135 strap. Now, that's an awesome kind of accolade to get hold of. You know, you're 7-0. Your last fight, I was very impressed against Alex Soto. I tell you, sir, I was very impressed with your performance in that fight. You were very dominant in the sense of you looked very relaxed, very calm, and just your aggressive kind of grappling and clinching, it just threw Alex Soto right. Alex Soto, what the hell am I saying? Yeah, Alex Soto right out of place. It was a great fight, man, to watch. I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, you know, I think I had some chances to finish the fight early, but you know, I was kind of glad that I got to go 3 rounds with a tough guy like Alex. You know, and you know, I definitely feel like Brett and I will put on an awesome fight for everyone.
I was going to say, you're fighting Brett Johns. He's a UK lad, and he is someone who's done very well at Titan FC so far. Obviously, the weight issue happened in his last fight. He had some external issues causing the weight problems, but he has done well against, for example, a Wally Watson and Gutierrez and people like that. When the matchup got made, were you feeling, you know, like this? If you can get this win, you can get this, put your foot down, get a win, claim the belt, then defend it. That would put you at 9-0. Let's say you win the fight, you get the defend it. That's 9-0. Do you feel like you'll probably get yourself in a position then to probably step up to the UFC plate? Do you think the level that's here at Titan is enough to really prepare you, I feel?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, you look at the guys at Bantamweight right now, and you know, some of the guys have been to the UFC. You know, and Brett and I have both fought guys who have already been there, and we've both beaten them. So I feel like this is, you know, this fight is big for both of us, and it definitely could put us in that, you know, that that's already a big spotlight being on the main event on UFC Fight Pass. So I mean, I feel like with a good performance from either one of us, we could easily be signed.
Now, like I say, your last fight was Alex. In that fight, you said you had a couple of chances to put the fight away, but what you did get out of it was a good, solid fight. Lots of time under your belt, really. Now, there obviously was things that you did wrong. There were things that you did right. Since that fight has happened, you've had a bit of time to work on stuff. Have you done anything in particular to work on? Like you say, you've just done a strength and conditioning session. Is there anything you're working on particular over that period of time? Have you maybe done a bit more Muay Thai or boxing? Have you done a bit more wrestling? Anything like that?
You know, I've been putting a lot of working with Ian Loveland.
he's my main training partner, and one of them, and my coach. And so I've been, he has a lot of experience. So I think if you could, like I said, I did one thing the most, it'd be just working on just MMA overall positioning and stuff. But since the fight in September, I definitely I didn't really take like time off. I wasn't out of the gym for weeks or anything. I was right back in there. I had buddies fighting. I was injured a little bit from that fight, just basically self-inflicted wounds from elbow and a knee and stuff. But it was just more of like soreness and stuff like that. But I was definitely in there drilling, my jiu-jitsu and staying fresh from my wrestling. And I've been spending work with my boxing coach I've been working with for a few years now, Andy Minsker. So we're always hitting pads. So there wasn't like one thing that I just focused on in particular, but I stayed fresh on everything, and I was in the gym.
I suppose the only thing you've really got to get yourself prepared for more is the potential fact that it can go 5 rounds. 5-minute rounds. That's the only big difference you've got to prepare for. That's the only thing you've really got to get your body ready for, so to speak, because mentally you can do it, but physically, if you've never actually had that 5-minute round fight before, it's going to be something new to your body. I suppose you do like kind of pretend fights in training to prep yourself for it, obviously.
Yeah, it's definitely makes strength and conditioning sessions a lot tougher. Trying to get ready for a 5-rounder. I'm pretty worn out, but just doing the right things with my diet on the days that I condition that hard, like today. And it's going to be hard to. It's really hard to simulate, that feeling you get in a fight, how exhausted you get. But I have a really good conditioning gym at Evolution Healthcare and Fitness right here in Portland. They have an altitude room. I've been paying my dues in there, spending time in there, and my trainer Scott Plus has been putting me to work and using long circuits. So we're doing a great job. Not getting worn out and just being explosive. So hopefully, I definitely feel like I'll be ready for whether it goes one round or 5 rounds.
Well, that's it, mate. You got to obviously. You got to be careful because you go into that fight, you got yourself prepared for the 5-minute rounds, but then adrenaline can make a big difference. You can go in there a bit over exuberant. You've got to potentially learn to pace yourself for 5 rounds, know when to put it on heavy, know when to take your foot off the pedal. It really is. It's an art form 5-round fights, because I'm not saying the fight will go 5 rounds. Like you said, it could go, bing, bell goes. You could one of you could land a punch and you could go out in 10 seconds. Anything can happen. But obviously preparing for it, it is an art form in itself, because you can put yourself out there and do three rounds at 80%, but for 5 rounds, it's a bit more, probably more 70% you can go at for that kind of pace.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm I'm planning on making it a 1-round fight, but I'm preparing for a 5-round fight. So I put a lot of emphasis on recovery in that 1 minute time. So I want to be able to push it, for the entire round, and then be able to recover in that 1 minute and be able to go. So, but yeah, pacing myself is definitely going to be tough with being a home fight, and adrenaline is going to be high. So, but it'll be an awesome experience.
And well, I was going to say, the guys around you that you train with, you've got a handful of killers. The guys that come from your gym, you've got a lot of good heads there to help you prepare for this. And standard wise as well, you're really in a good place. And I think this is this is for your career wise, a really huge moment, as well as Brett. But it's for, I'd say it's your first kind of big title, so to speak, title shot, because it's been on Fight Pass as well, and the exposure. It's a nice moment for you to get yourself to really see where you're going now after this fight, see how things lay out.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a different vibe around this fight. I've always been training hard ever since I started doing MMA. But there's definitely something that feels a little special about this fight. Just I feel like maybe because of the possibility that something bigger could happen after this. But also when I was getting ready to fight Alex Soto, we did promotional pictures and stuff, and I got to see him hold the belt, and I kind of, when I saw that, I was like, oh man, I want this. So I'm definitely excited to be able to fight for the belt in my hometown and against someone like Brett.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Honestly, I look forward to watching it. I will be tuning in myself. I'm in the UK, and I will be tuning into it to watch that fight because I am a fight fan anyway. And look, before I let you go, because obviously I'm going to let you go and recover, get some energy because you've had a very tiresome strength and conditioning session. Can you give us your social media stuff so people can jump on, give you a follow, and tune into obviously your kind of career and what's going on with your fight camp?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. My Instagram and Twitter handle is Ricky Simone 135, and I'll be posting some training clips and some sponsorship shout outs and everything. So it'll be awesome if you guys give me a follow.
Yeah, who's the sponsors, man? Give them all a shout out. Give every sponsor give them a good bell out.
Yeah, Kingcraft, Evolution Healthcare and Fitness, my fight team, Road City Fight Club, Garden of Life, 22 Days Nutrition, Gamma Labs. There's a ton of people over here helping me over here locally, and then I'm starting to pick up some more sponsorships, with these bigger fights that are coming. So yeah, I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. I'm sure you'll get a lot of support. You'll probably have more sponsors come up to your fight. And last but not least, you mentioned your gym there. You did mention before your coaches, but just one last time, you want to give a thanks to your coaches who are helping you out, and also training partners, and even friends and family that are helping you out.
Yeah, my coach, my boxing coach, Andy Minsker, Ian Loveland, the guys over here at Test Planet Portland are awesome, and then the guys that put work in with me every day at the gym, Tyson Nam, Benny, Carson Fry, everyone's over here helping me kill it, so thank you.
Honestly, you've got a very good camp around you. I'm not going to put any pressure on you and Brett, but I'll be honest, I'm expecting a fantastic fight. I'm telling you that right now. So if there isn't, I'm going to come round, find a pair of you, I'm going to slap the pair of you around the back of the head, alright?
I don't think we'll disappoint.
So, hey, have a great time on the 4th of March. Enjoy, obviously, your fight camp. Enjoy the whole fight, the fight week and the experience. Have a great time fighting for the 135 strap. And thank you very much for giving me your time and coming on today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
And we hope you all enjoyed this week. We certainly did. We had a great time. And we just want to get you, before you go, jump on your social networking sites and give these people a follow. We have MMA Scotland. We have on Facebook UFC Wreckage. Also, their website and Twitter is MMA Wreckage.
We also have MMA UK, and their Twitter handle is We Are MMA UK.
On Facebook, we have Fighting and MMA.
And on Facebook and Twitter, we have The Real MMA Talk.
And then last but not least, on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, they're funny. They talk about MMA. It's funny MMA. Jump on. They'll give you a giggle. And let's finish off with thank you very much, everyone. We will be back very soon, won't we, Mike?
Yep, definitely. Thank you very much, and goodbye.